Hey everybody, happy Friday night. Here we are once again.
Getting ready.
Hopefully the sound is working. It looks like it is.
Yeah.
Because this microphone turns itself off inexplicably.
Yeah.
Did I tell you that the other day? I recorded a whole like half an hour video and I was all excited about it, and then I went to edit it and there was no sound. And then I went back and opened OBS and I was like, fuck you! It had turned my microphone off. I don't know why. It's a ghost. You did it.
Microphone.
You did it.
Microphone on my fucking tablet does weird shit too. Like, I can send a video and audio over it most of the times, but then sometimes inexplicably, if like I'll try to take a video, you can barely hear it. It'll be like real low and real crackly.
I wonder is it your finger over the condenser mic?
No, I don't think it is. It might be. Could be.
Because to be honest with you, I don't have any idea where the condenser mic is on my phone, so I could totally be doing that.
Right.
Like when I'm recording video with my phone. Although so far that hasn't... Ooh, I'm trying not to try not to hit this thing because all the records will fall down. So everything in here is like very precarious.
Yeah.
Like it's all piled and plugged into various things and shit like that. Every time you hit something, it's like 40 other things like domino down.
Yeah.
I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to touch it. Like later on it might go like that though. I'm serious.
Yeah, so today is Friday. It's another Friday's open lines. Just you guys can drop it. Any kind of comments or questions, you can drop them in the comment section and we'll talk about them. But people are just starting to come in. User count's going up. I think it was 5. Now there's 8. Everybody's starting to climb in. Tammy's here. Murder Hornets. Why is that falling?
That's just because you turned the fan on.
Oh, okay. Oracle's in. Danny Ghostface in.
Danny Rolling Ghostface says Jurassic World Dominion was a long waste of time. In my opinion, they should have killed the series after the film before Dominion, just saying. To be honest with you, I saw the first Jurassic Park and I enjoyed it very much. I still think it's an amazing movie. I didn't really feel compelled to see any of the sequels, though. And honestly, I couldn't even tell you how many sequels there were. And like I said, I thought the first film was badass.
Yeah.
But like it's really good. But I was just kind of like, now, once that I'd seen that, I was just kind of like, okay, I've seen that. I can move on to other things now. I can move on with my life.
They got to come up with some kind of fucking excuse to bring the dinosaurs
no shame if people are like really into that. But, you know, I guess, I don't know. Because, you know, I'm more a horror person. You know, I liked I'll watch horror sequels sometimes. But dinosaur movie, I was like, yeah, that was badass. But it was just like, I don't really need to see another one. Because I already saw that. I already saw it.
They're just cashing in on kids liking dinosaurs.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know.
It's the American version of a Godzilla movie.
True.
That's all it is.
And I mean, I loved dinosaurs when I was a kid. I had like all these books about them, and I knew I was like that nerdy kid that knew all the names of them and all of their habits and shit like that.
Yeah, I liked them too when I was a little kid. I would have loved it if I was a little kid when it came out. Yeah, I was already grown pretty much when Jurassic Park came.
Well,
out.
I was too.
It was good. I think
93.
That was Steven Spielberg. I think
it was.
It's
a really good movie.
Yeah, it had a good tone and everything. But
it
like
still
I said,
holds up.
One's enough.
I was just like that was perfect the way it was.
Yeah.
You can't improve on it. You can't. You know, it kind of like came out and it's like, yeah, it's a badass flick, and it's like that's really all that needed to be said. I really didn't think they needed to continue on with that.
Kind of like that movie Species. One was enough. They kept bringing it back. Some people say the other ones. Some say that the other ones were pretty good, but I didn't even care. I don't think I ever saw them. I just saw the first one, Species.
Yeah, I mean, generally, even with horror franchises that I really like, I usually don't feel all that compelled to see the sequels. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes I will, but I rarely see anything that... And it's not so much that I didn't like the original. It's like sometimes I loved the original. It's just that I loved the original so much that I don't want the memory of it to be besmirched by some, like, inferior, like, sequel to it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, y'all, like, that was good. That was good, the first thing that you did. Like, you don't have to, like, do it again. It's fine. We saw it.
Funny thing about Jurassic Park is that the CG in that held up.
I was just going to say...
It's even better than some of the shit they have now.
Which is crazy because, you see Jurassic Park from 1993, for fuck's sake. Yeah. And the fucking CGI in that looks incredible. Yeah. It still looks incredible.
It looks better than a lot of the models.
Yeah, and I've seen some movies, like, recently where the CGI looked shittier than that.
Yeah.
And that was How many years ago was that? Was that like 20 years ago? That was like 20 years ago.
Look how shitty the CG was in fucking I Am Legend.
And that was 2007.
Yeah.
And you know what? When we were watching I Am Legend, I thought that exact thing. I was like, man, Steven Spielberg made Jurassic Park in 1993, and it looked like a million times better than this. This was like 2003. There's like no excuse. Right. Or 2007. There's like no excuse for your shit to look like that. That's my phone.
Yeah, no. So what the fuck, man? The demons are coming after me.
No, it's all the telemarketers, which amounts to the same thing.
Demons.
They're all calling me.
Yeah.
Every time one thing that I like that the new, I don't know if all the phones do this now, but I like that the phones, when it rings, it doesn't just say unknown number. It says telemarketer or it says spam risk on it, which, again, telemarketer. So I was like, oh, well, thank you. And I can just kind of go click like that.
Evidently everybody in this area is getting constant. If you have a phone, which our phones, I don't have a phone. I just use Jenny's phone. I'm like, fuck phone. I use that. I don't want them calling me. But what they would do right now is they would call me 24/7 about buying this house, evidently. Evidently, everybody who owns a house in this area is being fucking called fucking 3 or 4 times a day by BlackRock. They're trying to buy up all the houses for more than what you paid for.
And the thing, too, is that once you buy a house, you get on... Well, that's public knowledge.
Yeah.
And so a lot of companies will get those lists, especially if they're trying to, like, sell you shit. Mm-hmm. So you're going to get, like, all kind of, like, spam calls like, hey, you need some solar panels? Hey, you need this? Hey, you need that? Hey, you need plumbing? Hey, you need this, that, and the other? So, yeah, that's just going to happen. Like I said, I don't answer my phone ever, so...
We'll see if that other house like this that our ex-landlord owns, see if that bitch sells. I'm going to keep an eye on it. You know what I mean? Because evidently they're trying to buy up everything. That's what I heard. I don't know if it's true. But that BlackRock and Vanguard are trying to buy up everything in any decent area because they're afraid they're going to lose all their money if hyperinflation kicks in. So they want to own land. You know, assets is where it's at if hyperinflation kicks in. We'll see.
DJ Maniac says...
I ain't getting out of this house. I don't care if they offer me. They're going to have to offer me twice what I paid for it before I leave.
Maybe if they gave me $1 million.
Yeah.
They gave us $1 million.
Yeah. You'd have to pay me twice or 3 times or something like that.
Well, that's what I mean. Actually, twice.
Right.
That would be almost $1 million.
Yeah.
So that would be nice. Yeah, if they came to you and said, hey, we'll give you $1 million, I'd be like, okay.
Yeah, and I try to make sure I had a place to go to, though, before I took the cash.
If you had, I mean, if you had $1 million, you could pretty much go where you wanted.
Not if it hyperinflates fucking 6 months from now. Say, you just buy a whole house, you pay this one off, and use the $500,000 to buy another house.
Well, yeah, that's
free.
Well, but you
got to have a place to go.
That's what I would do, actually.
If they're owning up if they already own all the available ones, then fucking shit. We could always just go down and try to see if that damn drug lord mansion is still for sale.
that cool drug lord mansion.
Yeah, I thought about getting the drug lord mansion, but that
was a cool looking house.
Yeah,
it was old though, so I'm sure it would have
1950s.
Yeah, so I'm sure it would have needed a lot of work. But it was so cool looking inside though.
The thing is that it was all brick and stone.
Yeah.
So you don't need much air conditioning. Once it's cool in there, it's cool
yourself.
all fucking. No, I know exactly what it is. I know exactly how it works. They're very fuel efficient. Once the house is cold, it stays cold like an ice box. And because the houses in Brazil were like that, and that was a Spanish house, and they just did it like that. It was cool. Looked like something from the Caribbean. Looked all fucking like something you'd see in Cuba. You know.
Didn't love that green carpet, but
no.
I mean,
shag carpet from the 70s.
Honestly, I didn't mind the color of the carpet. It was just that it was clearly really old and it was kind of like rucked up in places, and you'd have to like pull it out.
There was a lot of fucking work that had to be done.
That's what I'm saying. So it would have ended up costing more.
I mean, you looking at the inside of the fucking house, man, it looked like Ricardo Montalban was going to step around the corner.
It did. It was pretty rad.
All stucco, fucking. It had a big wood that was salvaged out of a fucking Spanish mission. Spanish mission church.
It was so cool looking.
Wrought iron fucking chandeliers and stuff, and a lot of like brown blown glass, like not blown glass. What do you call it? Stained glass windows. It looked like the inside of a damn Spanish church, in a way.
I mean, you could have gouged the fuck out of that, big time.
Yeah.
It did look like the inside of like an old Spanish church.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, I'm into it. I was into it.
I don't know how you wire it. I imagine, I guess there were just pipes, conduit running through the walls. It's probably poured concrete, a lot of it. Because I didn't see any external wiring. Because sometimes some houses in Central and South America are like that. There's metal conduit running down the outside of the wall because you can't drill a hole in it. And the houses predate electricity, so you just have to do the conduit on the outside, But it was a cool looking little house. Looked like something off of damn Miami Vice. It looked like a damn drug lord's house.
It probably was.
I'm
imagining. Well, like I said, I thought it was cool looking, but then I thought to myself, well, that's going to cost a lot of money, probably to get up to code.
Had a private road, went to it, and it had a pier for a boat. And it was on the back of a lake. Had a big lake. Other
it also had like a second floor, like a veranda, like a porch type of thing, so you could kind of like sit out.
Yeah.
On the big, and it was big.
You could put your gym equipment out there and work out on the roof or sunbathe or whatever. It looked like something out of a Miami Vice episode.
Yeah, it was neat.
Yeah.
I really, really liked, and it looked like it. I liked the thing that I liked the most about it, other than like all the Spanish mission stuff, was I really liked that it had like a bedroom and a bathroom and stuff like that I could have used for an office, and it was way at the end of this like long hall, and it was like off by itself, and I really kind of liked that.
It was bigger than this house, and a little bit cheaper.
Yeah, I mean it was about the same, but it was a little bit
cheaper.
It was a little bit cheaper.
And but I think the size was probably 50% bigger than this one.
I don't remember.
I think it was about 50% bigger, and it had it had the bottom floor had a carport you could drive in, and it didn't really close behind it. It was like it had arches that went around the outside. It was kind of like a covered. The first floor was a floor, but then it had like a covered carport. It had arches on one side. But
it didn't have a garage, but it had like this massive covered carport.
Right. It looked like something you could ride a stagecoach in.
It did look like that.
It's more like what it was.
It did look like that.
Yeah.
Which, like I said, it was very cool.
Yeah, neat looking.
And if you had the money, like I said, you could goth the fuck out of that.
Yeah. I was just looking at that thing going, man, think of the money.
Yeah.
Because you'd have to replace the carpeting. And it had real expensive drapery that had faded out, and it was kind of a teal colored, but I don't think it was always teal. It looked like it might have been blue at one time. But it looked like velvet curtains, remember?
Yeah.
They were like curtains, drapes.
Yeah.
A bunch of drapes, real gothed out looking, looked like some old Spanish stuff.
And I loved all the wood trim. And the front door was like this beautiful, like hand carved wood kind of, man. It was
solid
gorgeous.
wood, about 4 inches thick, everything.
It was gorgeous.
And it was stuff that was taken out of a Spanish church.
Yeah.
And when the house was constructed in the early 50s, it was quite a cool house.
Repurposed it. Yeah.
Late 40s. Late 40s, I think it was.
I can't remember when it was built, but yeah, it was super cool looking. Oracle asks, Jenny, have you ever read the Dr. Greta Helsing series of books about a doctor in the UK that treats monsters? No, I haven't, but that actually sounds really good. I had actually never heard of those. I'm gonna have to write that down because, yeah.
Samantha said, where would we move to? I'd stay in this area. I wouldn't go far.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we're not looking to. Yeah. We just moved to this place like 6 months ago. What was it? No, it was more than 6 months ago.
So no, it's coming up on. It's about 7 months, 8 months.
No, we moved here in. It was right around my birthday, which is the end of September.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's been longer than 7 months.
Okay.
It's been more like 9 months.
Got to start doing the paperwork for December, next January coming, so I can get the disabled veteran fucking tax fucking breaks on the fucking property taxes here. That'll save me $300 a month.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So yeah, you definitely
gotta start doing that.
Because like I said,
gotta start putting the paperwork in. Because you have to you have to do it like in the December before the year you begin to work, you begin to live in the house. So in other words, I couldn't do it for last year.
Well, I mean, because we moved into the house like late September, early October of 2021, but we rented for a couple of months.
Yeah.
And then we decided.
Right, that's what it was.
To buy it. That's why it was, and it was like too late.
And January had passed, so I couldn't apply for it.
Yeah.
You had to apply for you had to get it all ready by January 1st, if I remember correctly, so they could start it. End of December, January 1st. Is
yep. That's what you got to do.
Right.
That's what you got to do. Anyone ever seen the film Pacific Rim? And if so, is it worth watching? It's worth watching. I mean, if you like big robots fighting each other, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it looked good. I thought it was dumb.
I mean, it's dumb, but that's kind of like the appeal of it, I guess. It's just, like I said, just dumb, like, robots punching each other. Yeah. Sometimes that's all you want out of life.
Kind of like the new Godzilla type stuff with Mothra and everything. That last Godzilla was pretty good. Well, it had Kong in it, didn't it? Yeah,
now I can't even remember.
Yeah.
I'm completely
that
confused.
One's pretty good. I liked Kong Skull Island out of them all. I thought that was the best one.
Yeah, that one was pretty fun, actually. Yeah. Hey, David's here. Hey, how you doing? How you doing? Are you going to Mannequins this evening?
No.
No. I was asking Dave. We're not.
Oh, okay. I thought he was asking you.
No. But because I'm kind of broke. Kind of broke until the 21st.
Yeah.
So,
got a lot of shit to hit us at once.
Yeah, a lot of bills. Always kind of like, well,
had to,
what else is new?
Have both of these fucking central air systems in here fucking checked and inspected. They fucking recharged them. They cleaned the inside and outside coils. And I was kind of lost track of the shit. I thought it was going to be about $400. And then I remembered, no, I got two systems.
Yeah.
It was like $700 to get them both.
It was $700.
Yeah.
Well, they kept. I mean, the AC works. It's just sometimes it ices up. Like it ices up.
Yeah.
So it's like you kind of have to crawl. Like right out there, there's like a little thing in the wall. You take the thing out, and then you have to crawl into the pipe and like have a heat gun and melt the ice in there.
But summer was coming, and I never had these things looked at. I wanted the charges checked and make sure everything was good. And yeah, they're good now. They were both. One of them was low 2 pounds. The other one was low 1 pound of coolant. So then that cost me, and then I had them clean the outside and inside coils. It's running good now. Although the dude told me, he says, if you move it from 71, which that's what I had it before, he says if you move it to 73, you'll save about 30% on your fucking energy bills. I was like, really?
Yeah.
So we're trying that out. I moved it down to 73. It feels hot as fuck to me.
See, I think that's just you, though. Because honestly, and I don't know if it's just... I mean, this room, like this office, I don't know if it's because I never open the fucking windows because fuck the sun. Or I don't know what it is, but this office is always cold.
It's because...
And that's fine.
It's because the AC's right there.
I guess.
So you get good pressure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It blows in here hard.
I mean, look, I have a jacket on the back at all times. It is always freezing cold in here. And like I said, I'm fine with that.
Hey, what? Where's the
what?
The smoke detector.
It hasn't been there since we moved in. I bought one, but I never installed it.
Okay.
Because I forgot
about that.
I forgot about it.
You have it? I'll put it in.
Yeah, I have it. Okay. I can't remember what it is. But yeah, like before, like when we first moved in, like remember when I came earlier, like before you got here, and I like painted the room and shit like that, and put all the furniture in it. And then I was like, oh, I don't have a smoke detector in this room. Like, there's, the hookup is there, but the actual smoke detector been, like, pulled off. So I bought one, and then I was like, oh, yeah, I got to install that, and then I forgot.
Yeah,
so,
all right. Oracle
I have it somewhere.
Oracle has to leave. David says he's going to the club tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to see what they were doing on Saturday night, but like I said, I don't really have a fuck ton of money, though. That's kind of why I'm like...
Yeah.
And plus, we got to go see Gene Loves Jezebel.
Yeah, on the 17th.
Like, next week.
Yeah, next Friday.
Oh, that'll be next Friday.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. So we might not be able to do the show next Friday. Or we might have to do it earlier.
Yeah. Could do it earlier.
We'd have to... Yeah, we'll have to do the... I didn't even realize that it was a Friday. Yeah, I guess we can
can do it on a Saturday.
I mean, we can do the show earlier, or maybe we can do the show on Saturday
Move the
instead
show
of
to
Friday.
Saturday. Makes more sense.
That might be easier.
Yeah.
Because I didn't realize that the Gene Loves Jezebel show was on Friday. Shit, I gotta buy those tickets too. God damn it.
Yeah.
Danny Rowling says, finish season 4 of Stranger Things, Wasn't bad, but kind of ripped off Nightmare on Elm Street. Also homaged a bunch of other 80s films and 90s films. Dazed and Confused, cough, cough. Okay. I watched the first 4 episodes, and I think there's 3 left, so I haven't finished it yet, so don't spoil anything. I do love, though, that one of the episodes had that wonderful Kate Bush song, Running Up That Hill, and the fact that it was in Stranger Things pushed it back into the top 10 because so many people, like, bought it and, like, downloaded it, which I thought was, like, super funny. And you know what, like, last week when we were at Mannequins, I was thinking, because Paul, the DJ, he played it, and I was just kind of like, oh, this must be because it was in Stranger Things. But I didn't realize until I read an article, like, later on in the week that they're like, yeah, that it got, like, it got, like, such a big thing, like, that they actually, like, went to Kate Bush for comment. Like, how do you feel about your song being in the top 10 again, like, this many years after it came out? Because it came out, what, 85? Something like that. But, you know, that's pretty cool, though, because that is an awesome song.
What song again?
Running Up That Hill.
I don't know that.
You do. If you heard it, you recognize it.
Why has it been back on the charts?
Because it was in Stranger Things.
Oh, okay.
They used it in Stranger Things. So that's why. And I thought that was cool because when I was watching, I can't remember what episode, it must have been one of the first 4 because that's all the ones I've seen. There's 3 left and I haven't watched them yet. But I was just like, ooh, Kate Bush, neat. But I didn't realize like how big of an impact that would have because they used like most of the song. You know what I mean? So I thought that was kind of neat. Speaking of disappointing movies, what does everyone think of the Avatar 2 trailer? Holy shit, did they actually really make an Avatar 2? I was underwhelmed. For 13 years in the making. I want it to be so awesome. I'm lucky to have survived witnessing it. I didn't love the first movie.
Yeah, I didn't like the first one.
To be honest with you. I mean, it was fine, but...
I thought it was derivative, very fucking samey kind of... I don't know.
It's weird because it's interesting how... It's one of those weird-ass movies that was, like... fucking massive. Like at the time it came out, it made all the money, and it was just like there was kind of like memes about it. I don't even know if it was like, maybe it was before like memes.
They were making porn over it.
That's what I mean. It was like this huge thing. Like there was Halloween costumes and shit like that. And then like a couple years later, everybody's like, Avatar who? Like everybody like forgot about it. It was just like, that's crazy. That it was like massive, and then like a few years later, nobody really remembered it.
I saw it in the theater, and I was just kind of indifferent. I was just like, yeah, okay, blue people, all right. Yeah, fuck your tree. You know, I didn't really...
I mean, it was good. It's just, it wasn't anything...
Yeah. I didn't really care. I was just indifferent.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I was like, oh, that was fine.
Yeah.
But it didn't really, like...
I don't know why they liked it so much. It was just, I thought it was...
There was something about it that just, like, hit... And that's really... I don't know. That's, like, really interesting to me. Like I said, I'm not a big, like, blockbuster movie person. Like, I will see them sometimes, but a lot of times, that's why. Like, a lot of times I kind of see them and I'm like, oh, that was neat. But then, like, a year later, I'm like, wait, did I see that?
I thought Alita Battle Angel was a lot better. And Battle Angel flopped, basically. You know? I thought it was a lot better.
Yeah, I mean...
And that's another one of the CG movies. Basically, the whole movie CG. That's why I compared the two. Kind of sci-fi. You know?
Yeah.
I thought Alita was a lot better, but...
Yeah, it was. I mean, to be fair, I've only seen Avatar once.
Yeah.
I didn't see it at the theater, like somebody loaned it to me, and I watched it, and I was like, oh, that was fine. But like I said, I'm not really the intended audience for that. I don't like big blockbuster movies, generally. I mean, they're okay, but I don't really... A lot of times, I can't really, like, get into them. It just seems like it's a lot of spectacle and, like, nothing much else.
Yeah, there's something about a lot of spectacle, and then I'm realizing, I'm like, yeah, you know what? The humans are the bad guys in this one. And then, I'm kind of enjoying it, and I'm like, well, why am I watching this, then? That was kind of the way I felt about it, you know? If we're the bad guys, then why am I watching this? You didn't get that vibe?
Well, not really. Well, the thing about it is that I kind of feel like any movie that has villains in it, like the villains are human. So it's like I didn't really see why that would be particularly.
No, it's just another way of looking at it. You know what I mean? Like when you're seeing aliens, you're rooting for the humans.
Yeah.
Because they're fighting the xenomorphs, right? And now the movie tries to put you into the position of rooting for the aliens, and to see the aliens kill the humans. And I'm just going like, why am I watching this shit? That's just how I interpreted it, you know.
I wasn't bothered.
Yeah.
I mean...
Well, I'm sensitive to things like that. I was like, you know, well, why am I watching for this
Tom's very sensitive.
Yeah, I'm just like, you know, okay, then
I don't really care.
Em.
I don't get offended by stuff like that. I don't get offended by stuff like that. I'm just kind of like, whatever movie I'm watching, I'm like, I don't care whatever your message is or whatever your thing is. It's just entertain me. And then we'll see, where we go from there. I'm not like, I'm not offended by anything. So the movie to me, like I said, I got it, but I was just kind of like, that was fine. It's just I didn't really get a lot of emotional attachment to it.
No, it was boring.
But like I said, that's just because I'm not a big blockbuster movie person. And I'm not like shitting on people that like that kind of stuff, because sometimes you just want to like turn your brain off and watch like a big spectacle movie, and that's fine. Like sometimes I want to do that too, but that's usually why I stick with more like indie kind of shit. You know what I'm saying?
I just thought it was boring.
It was kind of boring.
Kind of boring.
Like I don't really remember that much about it. Like I remember it looking pretty, but that was about it. You know what I mean?
Go on it, fucking like 2 or 3 hits of acid and watch it. Oh, this is awesome. You know what I mean? Fucking just everything's blue.
DJ Maniac says, I never root for the humans. We suck. Yeah, pretty much. John Gora said District 9 was like that too. That's right. And District 9 was a million times better than Avatar. District 9 was a fantastic movie. I don't actually think we've reviewed that, have we? I've seen it several times, but yeah, I love that movie actually.
District 9 was entertaining.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. But like I said, see, that's more of like an indie movie.
Right.
That's not like a big budget type of, not necessarily. You know what I mean? So,
I didn't like the fact that District 9, they never really followed up on the story. I guess he said what he had to say, and that was it. But that guy turned into the alien with the DNA, and the ship got away. I guess that was the end of it.
And that was the end of the story.
Yeah.
But see, I would rather that than like see like 50 sequels to it. Where it just where you just get like diminishing returns.
Yeah, probably.
I think it's better generally to kind of like leave your audience wanting more. Like, oh, I wish they'd make a sequel.
Yeah.
Rather than them actually making a sequel and being like, that kind of sucked. Yeah. Honestly, I think that's probably better.
What I did like about District 9 though is that the aliens really were different. They were basically like lobster-looking things.
Yeah, like human-sized lobsters. Which that would be terrifying if it was human-sized lobsters and they'd be like, we're getting you back for red lobster, motherfucker, like keeping us in the tank and then boiling us alive and shit.
And and contrary to like what you would think, they weren't that intelligent. Only some of them were. Most of them were just kind of dumb.
So, like humans.
Yeah. Well, no. They didn't really have much of even kind of like, they were just kind of real docile and fucking uninterested in things. They just did functions on that ship. Once they were off that ship, most of them just kind of were real aimless. But there was evidently some kind of caste system, because that one had kind of like a human style intelligence.
Well, and
more. It's just that the other ones were kind of almost like robots. In a way.
Well, it was kind of like the movie was made in South Africa, so it was kind of, they were talking about apartheid is what they were talking about. So that's what it was. David Parker said Avatar was pushed hard as the first real 3D movie. Yeah, exactly. And like I said, it was neat for that. I didn't see it in 3D. Like I said, I just saw it on DVD at home. But even then, I was like, ooh, that looks nice. But I didn't really feel any emotional connection to it. You know what I mean? Not in the same way that I do with like smaller kind of movies. The more like stuff is more spectacle, the less engaged I get with it, because I feel like they're just like jangling keys in front of my face or something. Somebody was talking about Friday the 13th. Even in the 80s, rumors were going around that they were going to make 13 movies. Yeah, I remember that. They didn't make it though. There's only 12. You know what? The way it's going nowadays, like with all the new Halloween movies and like all new Scream movies and shit like that, it would not shock me if they had like Friday the 13th Part 13. We'll see how that goes. Hugo says, I just watched Jason X. It's hilarious. I liked it. Yeah, and John Smith said, I have a soft spot for Jason X. Jason X that's the one where he goes to space, right?
I don't remember.
I think that's the one
I only
where he goes
liked
to
like
space.
the first 4 or 5 of them.
But, I liked Jason X just for how audaciously stupid it was. It was just kind of like, we are taking this concept and, like, pushing it to its ultimate retarded, like, fucking, and I was just kind of like, I respect that. I respect that you did that. It is very funny. that movie. And I'm sure it was actually meant to be funny. It wasn't meant to be like taken seriously. So I don't think any of the movies were meant to be taken seriously, to be honest with you. Let's see. Yeah, Murder Hornet said, I think I made it to part 5. Yeah, it's like, I mean, I kind of feel like the first one's fine. The second one's the best one. Sorry. The 5th one's good, too. And other than that, I used to like the 3rd one until I rewatched it. I liked it less.
I have it.
Yeah, we have all of them, I think. We have
not all of them.
You don't have all of them?
Got the first 4 or 5.
Oh, okay. I thought we had that box set that had all of them in it.
No. No, I'd have been watching them if I did. Probably, yeah. No, I think we got the first... I got the best ones. Which I think 4 of them. 5 of them, maybe. I don't think I have 5. I don't think I have 5.
Yeah, because the 5th one is actually really good.
Yeah.
The 5th one is actually really good. I think the number 2 and number 5, I think, are my favorite ones.
Yeah.
I mean, the first one's good, too, but it's... Honestly, when we were rewatching them, the first one is a little bit boring.
Yeah. I got
it's
1, 2, and 3.
It's not as... The hilarious thing is that I kind of feel like, even though now there's like Friday the 13th, like the first one, it's like unrated, but when you watch it, it's really not... There's
it's also not gory.
It's not gory. It's not... And it's funny because it had such a reputation. I mean, it came out in 1980 or whatever it was. So it was maybe gory. It actually wasn't even that gory for the time. I've seen like there was gorier shit than that came out in the 70s.
It made you think it was, though.
Yeah, it was kind of sneaky that way.
Yeah, it made you think that it would convince you saw something, but you didn't actually see it. It was real tricky with the camera angles and the editing.
Well, I think Texas Chainsaw Massacre did that like really well, too. It's like... Because I remember people talking about Texas Chainsaw Massacre after, oh my god, did you see that thing where he, like, cut open the dude in the wheelchair, and, like, with the chainsaw? That didn't happen. It was implied. Like, you kind of saw it from the back, but you didn't see that actually. You didn't see his gut squirting out or nothing like that. It was just implied. But it was, like, sneaky the way it made you, like, remember it, like, as way gorier than it was. And I think Friday the 13th had the same kind of vibe. Because when I rewatched it, I was, like... amazed at how, because I hadn't seen it in a long time, and I was like amazed at how tame it was. It's very tame. You could probably show that to a kid.
What's that?
To be for the first Friday the 13th.
I saw it as a kid.
Well, I did too, but I'm just saying, like, even nowadays, like, you probably show that to a kid and they'd be like, meh. They'd probably be like bored. They'd probably like fall asleep.
Well, what gets you is the music, and the music, the timing of the edit, and the screaming. It'll fool you into thinking that you saw something you did.
Yeah.
There is a couple times where people get their throats cut. A spear gets put through a couple, but they edit it in a funny way. You just see the spear coming down.
Like through underside of the bed.
On the other side of the bed.
And that scene is totally a ripoff from a Mario Bava movie, by the way.
You didn't actually see it go through the person.
No.
And I think even when somebody's
one girl gets axed to the face.
Yeah. Well, no, they show the axe coming down, and then the next time you see it, it's already in it.
It's in her face.
Yeah, the edit is real fast and real tricky, and it's obviously just a fake fucking. They just took a fucking axe and cut the end of it to fit somebody's head.
Well, yeah.
And then they put some blood right there. That's all they did. And then I think there's a part where somebody's throat gets cut, but I don't know if you actually see the knife in the throat. I think it was... I have to go back and look at it.
Now, was that the first, like, the hitchhiker girl? Like, the first one?
I thought it was towards the end.
Because I know... I'm pretty sure she got her throat cut. Because I remember... Yeah. Well, because, like, I think Tom Savini worked on that. Okay. And so I remember seeing, like, a documentary about him where he was working on, like, how... Like, showing how he did that.
Yeah, when we saw the first one recently, I was kind of surprised. Because I hadn't seen it since I was a kid, really. Of kind of how tame it is.
It is very tame.
But I didn't remember it that way as a kid. And watching it, you could see how creative they were with the editing.
Yeah.
To make you think you saw something, but you didn't. They just...
Which is pretty ingenious.
Yeah.
For just like a slasher movie that's that cheap. Which was essentially a Halloween ripoff. And they made it to be a Halloween ripoff. They're not ashamed of that fact. They're just basically like, hey, Halloween was awesome. Let's make something like that. But make it like gorier. You know what I mean? Murder Hornet says Poltergeist scared the shit out of me as a kid. Yeah, me too. I mean, that came out when I was 10, and I think that I saw it in the theater. Like, I think my parents might have taken me to see that because I would be like, scary movie.
I didn't see it. You know why? if I remember correctly, I saw the trailer for it. I think I saw a trailer for it after I went to Mammoth. What year did that come out?
1982.
Okay, so it was before. No. It was after.
I don't remember if it was summer or winter, though.
Okay.
82. But it was definitely 1982.
82, 83. I think Poltergeist had... I think Mammoth happened in 83.
You told me Christmas 82.
82? Okay. So I don't remember what I saw first. I remember seeing that trailer in the theater. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to see that. But I don't remember.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah, but I don't remember. I don't remember if it was before or after fucking Mammoth happened. I think it was after Mammoth happened, and I saw that trailer, and I was like, no, not gonna see that. I saw it later on TV.
That is a surprisingly scary movie for just being like. And honestly, when I saw it, like, the clown shit is scary. The kid eating tree is scary. The fucking pool with all the corpses in it is scary. Yeah. The thing that scared me the most when I was a little kid was the guy, like one of the parapsychologists or whatever, going in the bathroom and tearing his own face off.
Yeah, I remember that too.
And then like the steak like scooching across the counter and like all the meat coming out, like, and then being like he was like eating a chicken leg and he dropped in those maggots all over it.
Yeah.
Oh, that scared the crap out of me.
Yeah.
I think that was like the scariest thing in it to me.
Right.
Like the corpses and shit, that was scary too, but I was horrified by that whole face tearing off thing. I think when I was a little kid, because like I said, it came out when I was 10, and I think like the couple times that I saw it like after that, when I was maybe like 11 or something, the face tearing off thing was the only one that I had to go like that. You know what I mean?
I'm glad that we wrote Mammoth Mountain with before Red died.
Yeah.
And that we got all that shit fucking written down, because I never would have remembered the dates if it wasn't for Lois and them, because I was young, you know.
I mean, I don't know if you're remembering it wrong, but you told me when we were writing the book that you were pretty sure that it was Christmas 1982.
Oh yeah, I know it was Christmas time.
You said it was 1982. That's what you told me.
Yeah, it was Christmas time.
I mean,
you got that from Lois though, the exact date. I knew it was Christmas. It was Christmas vacation.
Yeah, because she was an adult at the time, and you were just a kid.
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
She probably remembered better.
I wasn't sure if it was 81, 82, or 83. You know,
we went blurry for a second.
All right. Because when you're a kid, all years are kind of the same at that time. You know, you're like, yeah, it's another one, another Christmas. I couldn't really remember exactly what year it was, even to this day. So it was 82?
That's what...
Yeah, Christmas 82. So it was almost 83.
Yeah. John Gora said, I watched The Last House on the Left remake the other night. I didn't hate it, but it's weak compared to the original. I don't think I've watched the remake of that. The original Last House on the Left is seriously one of the most horrifying movies. And I think the fact that it's low budget makes it scarier because it is like so scuzzy. It just seems like something you absolutely should not be watching. And David Hess is just, I'm sure he's a lovely man in real life, but holy shit is he a fucking dirtbag in that fucking movie. And he always played roles like that. I mean, I guess, I don't know, he just looks like a dirtbag.
Slasher Fred's talking about, if you guys ever watched the Twilight Zone episode, Little Girl Lost, that was the inspiration for Poltergeist. When I was a kid, that fucking episode fascinated me. Little girl accidentally fell through the damn wall into a parallel dimension.
I love that episode.
They sent the dog in there.
Yeah.
When I had that Poltergeist thing happen to fucking Mammoth Mountain, I actually kind of remembered that fucking, that episode and kind of drew some parallels. Because that particular episode was really like an episode about parapsychology more than anything else.
Yeah.
They were doing a scientific thing and trying to figure out where it began and where it ended and where was the hole in the wall and all that. You know, it kind of reminded me of the way Red was trying to figure out how somebody could get in and out of that fucking room through a closed door. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's, oh shit, let me go check that. Hold on. I'm waiting on a delivery.
Yeah. He's got to wait for that. All right, I got some horror movie related questions that I got to answer. Camp Guy says, Texas Chainsaw Original gave me a neurotic psychosis for about a month. Yeah, that's, it's intense. It's intense. It's like, it almost like tips over into like being funny, but like also like horrific funny. You know what I mean? Murder Hornet said, fact, there was no blood in the original Texas Chainsaw. I really don't think there was. I mean, it was, a lot of it was by implication. Like I said, you know, it was implied that Leatherface got, what the fuck was that dude's name that was in the, god damn it. I remember Sally, I remember, what was the kid's name in the fucking wheelchair? I totally blanked. But yeah, so, but you just see him from the back, and then you see him kind of like going, oh, like he's being like that, but you don't like see his guts falling out. And, you know, the one girl that gets hung on the meat hook, you don't see her back like going into the meat hook. It's just all like implication. But to me, the creepiest scene in Texas Chainsaw was when the one guy goes in the house and he's like, hey, looking for it. And then like Leatherface just like pops out and like hits him in the head with a hammer. And then like he falls down and he's like twitching. Ooh, that fucking freaked me out the first time I saw that. Stardog78 says, Kane from Poltergeist 2 still haunts me in my dreams. He was fucking great. Poltergeist 2 is actually really, really decent. Like, you know, since we're talking about sequels and stuff. 3, not so much. But that one was a little cheesy. And honestly, I watched it not too long ago, Poltergeist 3, I mean. And it's an okay movie, but knowing that Heather O'Rourke, like, died, like, not too soon, and she looks a little bit sick in it. She looks kind of bloated and she looks kind of sick, and you know that some of the shots are not her because she died before it was done filming. You know, I didn't hate the idea of them like transposing it to a different place and like the mirrors, and that was neat and everything like that, but I don't know, it just seemed like dumb. But Poltergeist 2 is actually like quite good, and like I said, Kane I think like fucking makes it. Yeah, I'm glad you brought up that Twilight Zone episode, Little Girl Lost, because we just rewatched, this was probably like, I want to say it was like a couple years ago, because I think Netflix has, or they used to, they had the entire Twilight Zone, the original Twilight Zone series, and I think we watched all of them like over a week or something like that, and I had forgotten how good like some of those episodes were, and that was easily like one of my favorite ones. I mean, that's just like, so that's like some modern shit. Like she gets like sucked into some other dimension, she's just like right on the other side of the wall. That's like freaky as shit. Yeah, Holy Parish of Doom says, Texas Chainsaw and Last House makes a good double bill movie night. Oh yeah. Both of them, like I said, very, very scuzzy. It's just kind of like, there's something about those early 70s exploitation films that always, I don't know, it just makes them like creepier because they just seem so like dirty, and you kind of feel like you shouldn't be watching them, like it's some snuff film that you like came across and shit like that. And it's just like, I know that the directors like cultivated that vibe, but it definitely like contributes to how fucking yucky they are, like how, and that's why I think they have a lot, because if you take something like Last House on the Left, and I didn't see the remake, but I'm assuming, because just going by the remakes of all of those kind of 70s movies that they did like in the early to mid 2000s, I kind of feel like if they remade it, they probably made it all slick, and everybody's like kind of like, oh, these good-looking 20-somethings, blah, blah, blah. And it just doesn't have that same like illicit kind of quality to it. And if you lose that, you lose a lot of the horror, I feel like. And that was kind of like the shitty thing. That's why I didn't like a lot of the remakes. Some of the remakes from the early 2000s were good. Like, I liked the Dawn of the Dead remake. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake was actually like much better than I was expecting. It's not great, but it was much better than I was expecting. But they slickify everything. You know what I mean? They just make everything feel like it's not scuzzy and dirty, and it just seems too, I don't know. It just seems, I don't know. There's something about it that I don't like. It's not, I'm trying to think. There's a word and I had it and then it like slipped away. But it just seems too manicured. It just seems too manicured, I guess, is what I don't like about it. Linwood Sly says Friday the 13th was Kevin Bacon, a Pennsylvania native. That's right. Yeah, he was the one that got killed in the... it's interesting how many very, very famous actors get their start in horror movies. Well, I guess it's because a lot of directors and shit like that, you get your start in horror movies because horror movies are kind of like... They're I don't know if they're the easiest, but they're one of the easiest genres to make on a low budget, because the thing about it is that horror fans we'll watch pretty much anything. We don't give a shit with like how low. Just be scary or do something, and then we don't care. You don't have to have big stars in it. You don't have to have like big special effects. You don't have to have nothing like that. As long as you know what you're doing and it's like super effective. I've seen like amazing horror films like shot entirely in one room or like one house or something like that. If you know what you're doing, you can really, really do a lot with that genre. So I know that that's why a lot of directors get their start there. So I'm assuming that's why a lot of their actors, because Johnny Depp like was fucking in Nightmare on Elm Street before anybody really knew. Although I think he'd been on TV, right? Wasn't he on 21 Jump Street before that? I can't remember. I didn't watch that show, but I remember like him being in that as well. Let's see. Starling 78 said, I think parts of the Yellow Jackets pilot was shot at Mammoth Mountain. Oh shit. Everybody's been telling me to watch that, and I haven't watched it yet. But now that we know that, maybe we will actually get into that. Yeah. Hugo says Netflix has all the Twilight Zone episodes except season 4. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I thought they had like a bunch of them because I know we watched like all of them like in a row, like one night, because they're very comforting, I like putting them on. It's kind of like Unsolved Mysteries, because a lot of times I'll go to Tubi because they have like all the Unsolved Mysteries. They have like all 12 seasons with Robert Stack, and then they have all the seasons that had Dennis Farina on it. And it's like, so a lot of times if we just want to like chill out and we don't have to watch anything in particular for the show, then we'll just like put those on and like find a chill out to it.
Okay, it's in.
Okay.
Do you want me to make you another drink?
Sure.
Okay.
John Gora says Last House on Dead End Street is quite memorable too. Yeah, I've been meaning to watch that one. There's like so many, like in Franklin. Thank you. That was that fucking dude's name from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I knew it was like I thought I was gonna say Francis, and I was like, no, that's not right. But I got like the first few letters right. Give me that much. I'm not drunk yet, I swear. Yeah, Holy Parish of Doom says the lo-fi aspect of the 70s flicks is something that can't be duplicated in aesthetic terms. Yeah, exactly. You can, and I appreciate when filmmakers try to replicate the aesthetic. Like, I do like that. Like, for example, take a movie, like a recent movie like Antrim, which I think just came out in, 2018, I want to say, somewhere around there. And it was pretty effective in trying to replicate. I mean, you knew it was a replication, but it was still like pretty good at doing that. So it can be done, but it's not going to be exactly the same. It's not going to be exactly the same.
Okay. I'm gonna freshen mine up too. Okay. Since I'm up already.
Might as well.
Yeah.
Murder Hornet says I Spit on Your Grave is a good cult classic. Honestly, I actually really like that movie. I haven't seen the remakes, I think they did a remake and a sequel, but I haven't seen either one of those. But the original is actually really, really good. I mean, it has one of the, because I have a thing about, it's hard for me to like watch rape scenes in movies. Like I will, but I don't know. They bother me. And the rape scene in I Spit on Your Grave is one of the worst things that I've ever sat through. Like one of the worst things, because it's so prolonged and it's so sordid, and it's just so, it's not like glamorized at all. It's not like romanticized, because I know like some movies have a tendency to be like, oh, it's a rape scene, but it's like shot all sexy and shit. It's like, this is not like that. This is like completely gross and like degrading, and it's long. And it just like goes on and on. I was just like, oh my God, this is like the most horrible thing I've ever fucking seen. But it's just like so bad. But, that's good, because like then you're rooting for her. It's like, yeah, kill these fucking dudes. You know what I mean? So it's like that much more satisfying. Like at the end when she cuts that dude's dick off, like in the bathtub, I'm like, yeah, you know what I mean? So that's kind of like, what is that other, there was another movie. There was a more recent movie that I saw. It was another like rape revenge, because that's like a whole subgenre. I think it was just called Revenge, wasn't it? I think I saw it on Netflix, but it might have been Shudder. I can't really remember. But I think it came out in, I want to say 2016, somewhere around there. But that was also really, really good. That was also like a rape revenge movie, similar to I Spit on Your Grave, but more recent, obviously. And but yeah, I liked that a lot too. That is actually due for a rewatch, because I watched that a couple years ago and I thought it was like pretty fucking great. Yeah, Ms. 45. That's another one that I actually really love. Actually, I wrote a long time ago. I wrote like a little, I wouldn't call it like, it's like a mini essay about those two movies. Like, about... I was kind of talking about, like, the rape revenge genre, you know, in general, but I was talking about those two movies because I kind of feel like those are the two biggest examples of, like, rape revenge. But, you know. Have you considered, says Mr. 88, an episode on Colton Harris Moore, aka the Barefoot Bandit? Teenager hacks dozens of systems, steals and flies an airplane with no training, dodges the FBI across the country. I hadn't, but one of the topics that I had in the poll this week was about people who were, like, famous imposters, like Frank Abagnale and people like that, which I guess that would kind of, like, fit in. So if that wins, maybe I'll, like, throw that in there as well. Gatorbait. We did a review of that not too long ago. Yeah, I think Gatorbait is, like, rape revenge too. It is. Yeah, we did, yeah, because Gatorbait got added to Shudder a couple months back, so I think we did a matinee on that, like, not too long ago. Japanese movie Frozen, not to be confused with the other Frozen, is a great rape revenge refrigeration movie. I haven't seen that one, actually. How many fucking movies are going to be called Frozen? Because I reviewed a movie called Frozen that was about... It was like an early Emily Blunt movie, and she was, like, giving this guy a ride, like, to, you know, she was going home for the holidays or whatever, and she gave this guy, like, it was like a ride sharing deal, and then they got, like, stuck out in the fucking wilderness in the snow. That was called Frozen too.
I checked those cakes down there, man. They look good.
He made, like, pumpkin bread.
I made pumpkin bread, but I had so much pumpkin puree because I was growing sugar pumpkins in the backyard, and I had 6. Those sugar pumpkins are about that big. They got pretty big. I sliced them. I never dealt with sugar pumpkin. Sliced them, roasted them, got the meat out of it, pureed it. I had a lot of it I had to use up. I want to make pumpkin bread. So I made 2 big old pans of it, in glass pans. And then I made cream cheese frosting for it. It's nice. It's about that tall. And you see, a reason why I did that is because it says, when I was reading up about it, that you can freeze it. See?
Yeah.
So maybe I'll freeze one of them. I don't know. We're going to see how fast it goes.
Yeah, you can freeze cake.
Yeah, but pumpkin bread I can freeze. I don't know if I can freeze it frosted though.
Oh, maybe not.
Right.
I wouldn't advise it because
Right.
I think probably the frosting would get all fucking freezer burned. But the cake could probably.
I made a cream cheese frosting. It's real good. It was 3 sticks of butter and a little bit and a chunk of cream cheese that was about the same size, a little bit bigger. The chunk of cream cheese was probably like the size of like 4 sticks of butter. I do it by eye. Blended it together and put about a cup and a half of sifted confectioner's sugar in it, and a teaspoon of, actually it's a tablespoon of vanilla. Man, that stuff is so good. Just whipped it together. Man, it's really good. The frosting.
So
But I can't frost it until it gets cold.
Yeah.
It's got to be a cold cake. It's still warm underneath the bottom.
I'm gonna have to, like, allow myself to eat some of that later on, but that's okay because all I've eaten today is one piece of naan and a little bit of baba ganoush.
Yeah.
And 2 cups of coffee.
Yeah, I got Jenny on calorie restriction.
Well, I have me on calorie restriction.
Well, it's my instincts to feed the fuck out of a motherfucker.
Well, yeah, see, that's why we keep getting in trouble, because I keep telling him, because what he'll do, and I appreciate this, I do, but it's like what you do sometimes. I'll be up here working, just like minding my own beeswax or whatever, and then, like, he'll come up with this big bowl of food, and, like, I didn't even know he was making anything, and I'm just like, well, shit.
Well, my blood serum concentrate is fucking.
Well, and you can
way
eat,
outside
you can get away, and you can get away with
humans.
eating a lot more than I can.
I can eat a lot. I can eat a lot and still lose weight.
Yeah, see, I can't do that. Yeah. And the thing about it too is that, and I've mentioned this before, it's just like, you know, as much as I would like to eat more. I usually don't like to because it'll make me feel, even though it'll taste good at the time, like an hour later I'll be like, oh, like I'll feel really, really bad. Like I'll feel really ill. Yeah. So it's better if because I gotta eat, but it's like, it's better if I just eat like little bits.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I've been feeding her just a little bit.
You know, and that's, that usually works. And honestly, like I said, that's the only way that I can lose weight is like severe calorie restriction. John Smith says The Nightingale is an Australian movie on that topic, and it's genuinely upsetting. I've been wanting to see that because that was directed by Jennifer Kent, right? And she was the same one that did The Babadook. And actually, I just rewatched The Babadook today because I'm going to do a Flickers of Fear on it, because I bought it, like, not too long ago. And that movie really holds up. Like, I remember really liking it at the time, but I hadn't seen it for several years. And then I was at FYE, and I was just like, they had it for $5, and I was like, oh, why not? I've been wanting to rewatch this. And I watched it again this afternoon, and I'm like, man, that's still, like, really fucking excellent. But it's funny the way, particularly The Babadook and, like, I guess a lot of this sort of, like, elevated horror, if you want to call it that came out in, you know, like, the mid-2010s, like, 2014, 2015, whenever it was. I kind of feel like it's super, super divisive. Like, because some people are just like, oh, I love The Babadook, and some people are like, oh, I hated it, it wasn't scary, or anything like that. So, I don't know. I loved it. I thought it was, like, amazing, but, you know, everybody's, like, fucking thing. Slasher Fred said the movie Sudden Impact is a rape revenge. The movie is raped by a gang, and her sister comes to take revenge. Yeah, it's a whole fucking subgenre. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. Like I said, I kind of feel like I Spit on Your Grave and Ms. 45 are kind of maybe I don't know if they're the best known ones, but they're kind of like the most iconic, I feel like.
What's up, Sly? I see you. You're the man, bro. You're the man.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. John Goris brings up Death and the Maiden. That's a Roman Polanski film. Man, I haven't seen it. I saw that once, like, a long time ago. That's a rape revenge, and it has Sigourney Weaver and Ben Kingsley in it. That's right. That's right. I haven't seen it in a long time, but I remember it being really good. That's another one that I probably need to rewatch. Holy Parish of Doom says the child actor is a bit over the top in The Babadook. He is, and I get that, but the whole, I mean, I kind of felt like, I kind of want to save this, like, for my review, but I did kind of feel like, one, that's kind of what a hyperactive kid acts like, and two, you're supposed to think that kid is annoying as shit because his mother thinks he's annoying as shit, and so you're supposed to, like, sympathize with her because she's like, oh my God, I'm gonna strangle this little fucker. You know what I mean? And then it kind of like, because of the whole theme of the movie and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
please remember to hit the thumbs up, the like button, people. I'd appreciate it to help us out in the algorithms.
Hugo says a lot of good horror directors worked on Night Gallery. They did, and honestly, I fucking love Night Gallery.
Yeah.
They only made 2 seasons of that, I think, right? I think it was only 2 seasons.
Yeah, they were all good too.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure like every single episode was good. I rewatched it. I rewatched the whole series probably, 7 years ago, 8 years ago.
You can buy it on DVD.
I know. Yeah. I think it's time like for another rewatch. I think well, when I rewatched it, I think Hulu had it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they still. That was a long time ago. Sometimes but every now and then I like to rewatch the whole series. I just love Night Gallery. There's just something about it that really gets.
Sometimes
to me.
You can get that stuff on sale, like a whole DVD set, and it's worth buying, man, because you have that shit fucking on hard copy, and no one can fucking take it from you, and you can watch it even if you lose an internet connection. Like I did that with the Logan's Run television series. I got it on DVD, and I'm glad I bought it because you can't get it anymore when it comes up for fucking sale. Used, a lot of times dudes want like $80 for it.
Well, it's kind of hard to get hold of, you know, because it's like...
They never stream it.
Well, it's kind of like forgotten. Yeah. We kind of talked about that when we talked about the show, because I was kind of like, shit, I'm real into like horror and 70s shit and stuff like that. I didn't even know that existed. Yeah. And I loved the movie, but I was like, oh, they made a series out of that?
Yeah. And it was good writing.
Yeah.
The writing was good. A lot of the same writers from... original Star Trek, and I think some of those guys ended up on Next Generation writing fucking episodes. So yeah, it's a good movie. It's a good series.
DJ Maniac says I prefer Night Gallery to Twilight Zone. I probably do too. Well, in the aggregate, I probably do, but
they're both good.
They're both good. I like them both. Honestly, I really like a lot of this. I loved like Alfred Hitchcock Presents. I love all those kind of like horror anthology shows. I still want to watch, I think Tubi has it. I don't know if they still have it, but they did like a couple weeks back when I was looking. They had that show Thriller, which I think Boris Karloff hosted, like toward the end of his life. And I remember Stephen King bringing that up in Dance Macabre, and I was like, oh yeah, I need to like watch that, but I haven't got around to like watching it yet. But I'm pretty sure like Tubi has it. Mr. 88 said, I got the entire Dexter series on DVD, brand new for $32.
Hell yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah, I'd buy that.
Okay, so has anybody seen the new Dexter season? Because there's a new one, right?
Heavy. We
haven't watched it. I mean, don't spoil it because we haven't watched it yet. But I just hadn't heard anybody like really talk. Like
Dexter
I heard
was good.
a couple people talking about it, but I know that like the end of the last season like pissed everyone off. It didn't piss me off.
Did you buy the 3rd season of True Detective?
No, not yet.
Okay, we gotta get it. Yeah.
Oh, that's another thing that it would
Somebody
third season.
paid for that. Yeah.
No. It was the Last Duel. Somebody paid for that. Yeah. No, I haven't bought it yet.
Okay.
I wrote it down, but I haven't bought it yet.
All right. Somebody's sending us. I think 3rd season of True Detective. I think.
Not sure.
Yeah, I think.
DJ Maniac said Thriller is still up there. Yes. Okay. So I'm gonna have to get around to watching that. I'm currently watching an anthology series called Night Visions, which featured Henry Rollins as the host. I kind of remember that. that.
Yeah, it sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah. I might not have seen all of them, but I'm pretty sure I saw some of them.
Yeah,
some good writers had their stuff adapted for that series. Yeah.
Henry Rollins suffered from a lot of the same shit as Glenn Danzig, just in a different direction. Motherfucker would just talk himself into a fucking corner. Sometimes. I remember one time fucking they were fucking trolling the fuck out of Henry Rollins. Henry Rollins was chiding people that dudes didn't know how to make women fucking come, or something like that. And then they started fucking with it. Do you remember that one?
No.
Okay, yeah. That was back in the 90s.
He's not
Maniac
wrong.
Probably remembers.
He's not wrong.
Well, no, he was fucking saying that only he could do it or something. I don't remember exactly what it was.
Okay, well, now that's crazy. But
Maniac.
He's not wrong in general.
Maniac remembers fucking. He probably remembers it better than I do. I don't remember exactly what it was. I just remember when that shit went down. People were fucking with him for a long time. That was almost kind of like that particular video was almost kind of like the Danzig gets knocked out video.
Well, it can't have been that. Well, because I've seen the Danzig gets knocked out one like lots of times, but I haven't seen the Henry Rollins one. So I'm assuming it hadn't gone to the same virality. As
it was almost like that though. It was pre-internet, so Rollins didn't get it quite as bad.
Joe Nash says I bought the entire series of Night Gallery for $20.
Oh yeah, it's a good deal.
Holy shit!
That's what I was talking about.
I might have to do that.
Sometimes it's better just to buy the fucking series.
I fucking love Night Gallery.
Yeah. Sometimes you can find deals on them used. Somebody's selling it fucking used, like $10 delivered. I don't know if they can do that anymore because delivery is fucking expensive now because of the gas. But I remember you could get shit fucking free delivery every now and then off of YouTube. You had people that were, I guess they were probably merchants who had massive quantities of DVDs, and you could buy something for like $2 delivered.
Off YouTube?
Not YouTube, excuse me. Whatever.
Amazon.
No.
eBay
is what I was talking about. There was some DVDs I got for like $2 delivered, used, off of eBay, and then when it showed up, it was fucking sealed.
Well, you can reseal things because, like I said, when I bought, like every time when we go to the movies, we always go to like FYE because FYE will always have these big like bins of DVDs and Blu-rays that they're selling off for like $5 or like, two for $5 or whatever. And they usually have a bin of all horror movies. So I always check because sometimes they have some really good ones that I want to like add to my collection, like I said, because I bought the Babadook because I wanted that to rewatch it. And it's used, but they have a way to reseal them, huh? Yeah, they have a machine. Okay. Well, they used to have it at the print shop I used to work at. You could just, it's just like you have like a sleeve and then like you heat it and it's like
some of that shit I got, man. It had the outer fucking paper cover and everything, and it looked brand new, not a scratch on it. Paid $2 for it. That very first James Bond, what was it? Fucking Casino Royale that I got was used. I paid $2 for it. And it looked brand new when it showed up.
Yeah, I mean you can get really good deals on like used shit. Yeah. A lot of times, to be honest with you, like if I want to buy like a book, and I don't want, I don't want to pay like the full price for it. Like if it's an author I'm not sure I'm gonna like all that much. Right. If I'm just trying something out, then I'll buy a used copy as long as it's in like decent condition. Although it doesn't have to be in that good a condition because if I leave it in here, like Pookie will tear it up. So because she likes to tear up paper. But now the other day I did when we were at the mall because we were seeing a movie and I went in Barnes and Noble and I actually did buy 2 books like paperback like full price, which I haven't done for a long time because like I said I'm usually broke, but
Murder Hornet said the Swamp Thing had a fucking series.
It did. I remember that.
I didn't remember that.
I don't think I watched it, but I remember it being around.
Good.
I remember it being around. I mean, I love horror anthology stuff. I mean, I love horror anthology movies. I love horror anthology TV shows. And the thing about, particularly the ones that came out in like the 70s, I kind of feel like 60s and 70s, because I grew up reading all those Alfred Hitchcock Presents anthology books. So I got real familiar with a lot of those authors. So I'm like really, really into a lot of horror authors from like the 50s, 60s, 70s. And a lot of them like wrote for TV as well. I mean, Richard Matheson is obviously the most like, you know, the most obvious example, but there was like another one too. So like a lot of times, like we'll be watching Star Trek or something like that, and they'll be like written by yada yada, and I'll be like, oh my God, I've read short stories by that dude, like that was in like an Alfred Hitchcock horror anthology. So, you know, it's kind of cool how it's sort of like this small community of like horror writers, and their shit keeps like turning up everywhere. I don't know, I just think that's neat. Maybe that's me. DJ Maniac says, I showed you the Henry and Glenn Forever comic a while ago, didn't I? Yes, you did. Yes, you did. I don't think I showed it to Tom, though. You would probably like really like that.
What's it called again?
It's called Henry and Glenn Forever.
Never
and
heard
it's a comic, and it's basically like Henry Rollins and Glenn Danzig.
Oh, okay.
And it's like, and it's super, super funny. Super funny.
So somebody else has made that fucking...
Yeah.
Made that parallel. Yeah, they're very similar.
I'm telling you, man, everything that you've thought of, like somebody else on the internet has thought of that too.
Yeah.
DJ Maniac also sent me earlier, and this like made me laugh really hard. He sent me a thing earlier, like somebody had made a comment on something about, they said the most unbelievable thing about The Hunger, like that 1983 movie, is that David Bowie and Catherine Deneuve would like need to like convince people to like be sex murdered by them, because in real life there'd be like a line around the block. I was like, yeah, exactly.
David Bowie has an Instagram. Did you know that?
From Beyond the Grave?
From Beyond the Grave.
Wow.
Somebody's running it. And fucking, I follow
that's
it.
probably like his social media team.
Yeah, and I follow it. And they
everybody big's got a social media team.
They post all kinds of fucking photographs I've never seen before. Fucking David Bowie back in the day, back in the 70s and back in the 60s. Him hanging out with people and at parties. And he was a trip, man. He was a trip. Probably fun to hang out with. Probably real fun.
He seemed fun.
Yeah. Some reports I've heard that said, you know, back in the 70s and 80s that he was bitchy. It's bitchy and snotty. And if
that's okay.
If he didn't like you, he didn't fucking like you. And evidently
I'm also kind of bitchy and snotty.
He could like not like you over nothing. You know what I mean? He just didn't like how you looked. You know what I mean? And fucking he didn't want you know,
so that's not over nothing. He did have a reason.
Yeah, his reason was he didn't like how you looked. That kind of shit. Yeah.
Well, hey, how many times have we stood in mannequins and I said I don't like that person? Yeah, he's got cargo shorts and Crocs on.
I guess so. Yeah.
And I'm fully aware. I own that's bitchy.
That's true. Yeah.
I'm just like, if I could punch that dude, I would. Look at those fucking shorts. Look at those shoes.
Yeah,
Jesus
like, why
Christ.
are you dressed like that?
Why do you look that way?
Yeah. You know where you are?
You're making me angry.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, I know it's shallow. I know.
Yeah.
That's okay. I own that.
That's the rules of the game.
That's it. I own that. I mean, even if it wasn't like a sort of partial alternative club, I mean, why are you going out for the night like looking like that?
I didn't look at it in that perspective though, because I was assuming that he was talking about somebody who is like a peer of his. But I was thinking like, yeah, probably like we go to the club and see a motherfucker wearing
That's what I'm
Crocs
saying.
and shit. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Goths are like the bitchiest people alive.
Yeah. You want to show up at the club and fucking?
We're almost as bad as gays. Seriously.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why we like to hang out with the gays so much, because it's like they're as bitchy as we are.
Yeah.
We're super bitchy.
Well, they're just in the scene too.
Like, look at what they're wearing.
Yeah.
Oh my god. We're very much like that. Very much like that.
Well, the gays are in the scene.
They
have some in the scene.
That's what I'm saying.
And kind of being goth is like its own sexual orientation. It's
in a way.
It's like its own thing.
In a way.
Kind of supersedes everything else. And yeah, you might have to look at a motherfucker and go, man, you're fucked up.
I mean, that's part of the fun.
Yeah.
That's part of the fun, because sometimes, especially, like, if I'm at a place, then, like, if the music isn't great, because, like, if the music is great, I'll just dance my ass off all night, and I'm not worried about it. Unless somebody gets up in my dancing space, and then we're going to have words, or, you know, or I'm going to, like, elbow you or something. But if I'm just, like, standing by the bar because the music is kind of meh, then that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to entertain myself by looking at people and, like, critiquing what they're wearing.
Yeah.
Like, if they're wearing... I don't critique other goths. I'm just kind of like, yeah, you're fine. But if some, like, fucking randos come in there, oh, I'm absolutely judging. Absolutely. John Smith says, another great, largely forgotten show was Night Stalker. That's right, like Kolchak. And they made, like, 2 TV movies of that as well. And I remember seeing those a long time ago. And I remember them being good. But I don't think I've ever seen the series, though. I don't think I've ever seen the series. Murder Hornet says the Heaven's Gate website is still working. Is it?
Really?
So someone must be still maintaining it. They didn't all kill themselves.
No.
Some of the ones, like, pussed out. They're like, yeah, you guys have fun with that.
No, they evidently had, like, a support network.
I'll maintain your website.
There was, like, some kind of support network that was going to help launch them to the fucking outer stars that weren't really involved in any of that and weren't... I had to go back and look at the case. But no, there was some of them that didn't go. And some of them knew it was going to happen, and there were other ones that didn't know it was going to happen. It's some weird shit.
Well, I guess that's true. I mean, a cult is just like any other organization.
Yeah.
In the sense that probably, like, some people don't know what the fuck these other people are doing. It's like you're going to have some people that are, like, way, like, extreme.
Yeah, there was more to it than that. Like, they thought that they would... Like, they had orders, like, yeah, we're going to launch, and we'll astrally project and fucking link up with the fucking comet, and then we'll come back to get you. It was like that kind of stuff. We'll come back and pick you up later, once we're in the ship. You know what I mean? Fucking, we'll come back fucking...
We'll come back in the spaceship.
We'll come back and get you. That's going to be that kind of stuff. You know, after you take care of everything here,
come back in the spaceship.
We're gonna come back. We'll come back in 25 years and pick you up.
Oh my god,
that kind of shit. Fucking.
Oh my god,
it was something like that.
That's crazy.
Somebody who might know the case better than me, but I remembered that there were some people that didn't go. And
yeah, they didn't all go. It was just like a portion, like a small.
They didn't go, and it wasn't even part of the plan to go. That they had to stay back and run the base, type of deal.
You have to bring new people,
right?
So we can all go into space. Mr. 88 says, if they get in your space, it should be instant dance-off. I'd win. I mean, because the people that are all getting up in my fucking space can't fucking dance. So. Just saying. Well, you know what's weird? When we were at Mannequins last Friday, I swear to God, I had at least, like, 5 random-ass people go, you're a really good dancer.
Yeah.
Like, just random-ass people.
Yeah.
I'm like, thank you, but yeah, like, I know.
Yeah, he says there's a comet or an asteroid involved. Yeah, no, it was a comet. You're going to link up with the Hale-Bopp comet.
Wonder how that worked out for them.
For all you know, they linked up with it.
I mean, I can't prove they didn't.
Yeah.
To their credit. Just saying.
They believe that behind the Hale-Bopp comet, in the fucking tail of that comet, was an extraterrestrial spacecraft that was using the comet as camouflage so it could go over the Earth.
Sure.
And that they could astrally project their souls upon death and link up with the fucking UFO and the comet, so then they can, I guess, go inside the metaverse that was in the UFO. I think they believed that we didn't have a word like metaverse, and I always imagined something like a metaverse, a computer simulated world inside of a computer where your mind's in it. Now you call it a metaverse. They kind of thought, like I thought, that UFOs and the flying triangles is not really a ship. It's more like a computer bank inside of a fucking spacecraft. And the entire alien species is in a metaverse inside that thing. That would make a lot of sense. Because you don't have to worry about biology. You don't have to worry about oxygen or feeding them or anything. They're kind of like spirits inside of a damn computer. You know? Which that would be a very efficient way to do it. And then you wouldn't have to worry about space. You know what I mean? Wouldn't have to be big. It could be small, the ship. and fit an entire planet's worth of beings in it.
Yeah, we're just gonna put you on this little
little bitty thing, and
little thumb drive.
And you're living in there, and then you're in a
whole population in this one little thumb drive.
And you're in a metaverse in a simulated world. You know, it's like a heavenly realm. And then the ship goes around. You know what I mean? And they got people piloting it and everything. That seems like it'd be like the monolith. Maybe the monolith was like that.
Blitz Phantom said, yeah, a former Heaven's Gate member still runs the site. And then Mr. 88 said, the Heaven's Gate site is exactly like it was in 1997. Yeah, I think when we did the show about it, I went to their website, and it looks exactly, it's like a 1997.
Like a time capsule, huh?
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, they're probably just kind of like, I mean, why bother updating it?
Well, no, they probably leave it like that so they'll recognize it when they come back.
Are they really thinking about it that hard?
When the ship comes back,
maybe we're thinking about it more than they might. Oh, I recognize that.
Yeah, I remember recognizing.
I recognize that terrible GeoCities.
Yeah, probably the GeoCities. Yeah, because that's what fucking
with all the fucking terrible
Scientology
animation.
has that for L. Ron Hubbard. All his shit's ready for him to come back.
Oh my god! That's
every
hilarious.
one of the damn big Scientology bases has a house. An L. Ron Hubbard house that they maintain every day. He's got his clothes laid out.
All his cigarettes.
Cigarettes ready to go.
Winston, right? It's Winston's.
Pack of Winston Reds, yeah.
Yeah, that was his cigarette of choice. Why do I remember that?
I don't know.
My brain is cluttered with useless information. Isn't that the logo that he had? Kind of like, remember where he like?
No, it wasn't Winston Reds. Cools.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
it's Cool cigarette, Cool menthols.
That's right.
Menthol Cools.
That's right.
Yeah.
I knew it was some brand that he had. Why did I say Winston's?
Yeah.
Oh, I know why.
Hey, Sly.
Because my grandma smoked those. That's why. That's the first thing that
Sly, if you don't know anything about Scientology, man, fucking need to go subscribe to a channel on YouTube called Surviving Scientology. It's run by the ex-wife of one of the big leaders of Scientology. Her name is Karen de la Carriere. And she'll tell you all, and she'll have guests on. She interviews from the cult, and they will tell you some wild-ass stories.
I mean, some of that crap, like, I can't even believe that shit is real, but having worked for Scientologists and known some Scientologists, I buy it.
Yeah.
I buy it. Those motherfuckers are insane.
Some of the guests on there were, like, old-time cult members, old-time church members who knew L. Ron Hubbard. And L. Ron Hubbard's fucking right-hand man who basically ran the fucking OT levels in their big schools, who was kind of like his main genius, was this black dude. And he was like one of the only black dudes in Scientology. That cult is white as shit. And he was fucking running. The reason why he got into the cult is because when he was younger, he had a spontaneous out-of-body experience. And he always tried to reproduce it, to astrally project out of his body. He never could do it. And I heard his story, and I was going, yeah, that happened to me. It's the exact same. He describes it perfectly. Well, Scientology promised him to teach him the abilities that you need to do that at will. It never happened.
Mm-hmm.
And after he got to know, he was in there for like 30 or 40 years.
God, can you imagine?
Yeah, running, helping, and fucking L. Ron Hubbard fucking, and that cult expanded a lot under this guy's skills. He was a real skilled dude. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But you can find the interview with the guy. And he worked for L. Ron Hubbard for like a couple of decades and never met him. He never actually met him. He said, he goes, one day they told me to go stand out in front of the fucking building, and I was like, what the fuck for? Just go stand out there. They told him to just obey. And as he was standing out there, he didn't know what he was standing out there for. A car came by, a fucking limousine. And fucking as it slowed down in front of him, and he says, and I looked back in there, and I could see the old man right there looking at me, smiling at me, with his fucked up old teeth and his fucking fingernails and shit.
And his weird fish lips.
Yeah, and I saw him fucking nod, and and then he took off. You see, the thing is that Hubbard didn't think black people could ever absorb Scientology. He didn't think they were good enough for that.
Yeah.
He thought they were dumb.
It's a little racist.
Yeah, he was fucking racist as shit.
Big time.
And he was getting all these fucking daily briefings and shit, Hubbard was, for years and years. And he finally got curious, evidently, to who it was that was writing to him, and giving him these reports. And he told me it's a black guy. It's like the only black guy in Scientology. And
he can write?
Yeah. And Hubbard wanted to see him, but he didn't want to meet him. He just wanted to see him, and that happened. And then fucking and he did something. I can't remember what it was. He did some kind of big achievement that the church had been trying to do it for a long time. He tells a story on that channel. Well, the old man comes by and he says he said his Colonel Sanders ass was sitting back in there because fucking L. Ron Hubbard did look like Colonel Sanders in some ways when he got older. And
yeah, a little bit
like Colonel Sanders. And he says he could see him looking at me, smiling and nodding his head, but it was kind of darkened glass. And then the fucking car took off. So the next day he was coming back from the chow hall, and walked into his room, and sitting on his fucking bed was a fucking folding stock, totally decked out fucking Ruger Mini 14 and a whole bunch of ammunition and just all this shit that he liked because fucking black dude fucking loved guns. And L. Ron Hubbard somehow figured out what it was he wanted, and he wanted a Mini 14. Gave him a Mini 14.
He's like Santa Claus.
Yeah. It was like a mock-up of that fucking Ruger AC 556. I think is what that was called. AC 556 was folding stock, fucking kind of Mini 14, and all kinds of fucking gifts and shit. And that was his reward for something that he did for the church. And he says that was the only time he had ever seen L. Ron Hubbard, and he saw him just through the fucking glass, through that darkened, smoked glass. And then, but he said about his astral projection that he did, that spontaneous out of body stuff. He said he joined Scientology to learn how to do that. And the more he found out about Scientology, the more he realized that Scientology was the exact opposite of what you needed in order to fucking. I
mean, it's pretty much the opposite of anything. Like, if you want to live a healthy life, and be happy, that's pretty much the antithesis of all of that.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like,
maybe I'll look
up.
I'm gonna look up that guy so you can see his story.
The thing about it, I know everybody says, "Oh, I'd never get sucked into a cult."
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I was gonna say was that any time that I think to myself, "Man, I'm almost 50 years old. It's like I wanted to, accomplish this, and this. Like by this time period, I haven't done it yet, and I'm still working on it." And I was like, "Man, I just feel useless, and I should have done more." But then I think about documentaries I've watched about people that got out of Scientology, and some of those bitches were in there for 30, 40 years, and I'm like, okay, well, I feel better because they wasted that much time in that bullshit. So it's at least I didn't do that. That makes me feel a little bit better. I'm glad they get out. I'm not saying that, but I mean, I don't know. I kind of feel like the reason that I'd probably never get sucked into a cult is, one, I hate people. And two, it's I'm not a joiner. I don't get this whole thing where people are well, I need to be accepted by other people, or I want to hang out with it. But I don't. Fuck that. Fuck that. I don't like any of that kind of crap. I don't want to get involved. I don't want to be involved in whatever it is you're doing. I don't need acceptance from you. I don't need any of that kind of crap. So, I don't know. So I don't think that would get sucked into that. Well, I wouldn't have got sucked into that because I think they're weirdos. So
I said the Scientology tried to recruit him. Then we tried to give his ass the personality test. I remember that shit.
I mean, you guys, I don't know. I brought this up before. But maybe some of you guys weren't here before. I don't remember, the last time I mentioned this. But back in 2002, I think it was 2002, I lived in the Tampa, Clearwater area. I'd grown up in Daytona Beach my whole life. I moved to Tampa, Clearwater area. I had a job over there. And I had a job. I only worked there for a month, and then I couldn't stand it, so I quit. And then I ended up working for this other place that sort of unbeknownst to me was owned by Scientologists. It wasn't a Scientology company, but it was it was actually what it was a direct mail. It was kind of they designed it it was for it was business to business, for insurance companies. It was basically you were printing out packs of information shit for insurance agents. Here's all of these insurance packages that we have for you to sell to other people. It was that kind of shit. It was super boring. So I was in there designing all these mail-in cards. That's pretty much what it was, these packets of mail-in cards. but it was owned by Scientologists, and probably about 75% of the employees were also Scientologists. Now, when I first started working there, I didn't realize they were Scientologists when I applied for the job, or even, I don't even remember if they brought up when I interviewed. I can't remember if they did. But, like, when I got the job, and when I went in there to fill out the paperwork, they're like, okay, well, we're all Scientologists, but we, you know, are legally, we're not allowed to, like, push our beliefs on you. I'm just like, okay, fine, whatever. They did give me the personality test, which I thought was, like, bullshit, and I just, like, answered whatever I thought they wanted me to answer, because I was just like, fuck it, I just need money. I don't really give a shit. So I just did that, and then I started working there, and it was just kind of like, they said that they weren't allowed to, like, push Scientology on you, but they absolutely would. The first half hour of every workday, from 8 to 8:30 or 8:30 to 9, I can't remember, you would have to go into their classroom, which was on the first floor, and you had to do L. Ron Hubbard courses, like his business courses, because he wrote about everything. And I thought that these were complete ass. I mean, they were just, like, the stupidest shit. It was, like, it was really obvious shit mixed in with a bunch of, like, really, really stupid bullshit. You know what I mean? And I was just kind of like, really, I have to do this for the paycheck? Okay, fine. Like I said, I got rent to pay. I had shit to do. But when they started doing stuff like people are in the room making clay figures that are, like, talking to each other, and I was just kind of like, what the fuck is going on in here? It looks like fucking Romper Room.
All right, this is the guy I was telling you about. His name is Jesse Prince. All right. And that was one of the highest ranking members of Scientology. He basically ran the church. He was ghost running the church for L. Ron Hubbard. And in those he goes way back. He's like from back in the 70s and 60s and shit. And he was African American. In a fucking, and which was some weird shit, because that church really wanted nothing to do with African Americans at that time. Nowadays, they're fucking with...
well, now they're desperate because...
Now they're desperate and they're going with the fucking...
Well, they're like, oh, all the white people are, like, onto us now.
Right.
So now they're kind of, like, trying to hook up with... I mean, they've established churches, like, in Central and South America, like, places like that, because they're like, well, maybe they haven't heard how shitty we are.
Yeah. So you can go on YouTube...
So we can sucker some people in.
Go up on YouTube and fucking go to Surviving Scientology, Jesse Prince. And fucking, he tells a wild ass stories, and it's all true. He's a cool dude, real intelligent, fucking real professional, and kind of, he was real talented, and he helped bring that church to success. He kind of regrets it. Slaved away, and they didn't pay him a fucking dime. It's like,
well, that's kind of their whole thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of their whole thing.
Yeah.
They want people to just, like, work for nothing. Is essentially what they want.
It's kind of like a military environment where you're living in barracks and you eat through the chow hall, and they don't really feed you that much. The food isn't that good, and they just keep working you in these damn bases. And he was in what was called the Sea Org, which was their version of, like, the clergy. And it's like joining the Navy. Everything was kind of modeled after the Navy, because Hubbard was a fucking naval captain in World War II of a minor ship, I think it was an anti-mining ship or anti-submarine ship or something. He lied about his backgrounds. There's a real good movie about it called, what's it called? The Wizard? No.
The Master.
The Master. Yeah.
That's a great movie.
Yeah, The Master. They couldn't come out and call him L. Ron Hubbard, but that's who they're talking about.
Yeah.
They didn't want to get sued.
Yeah. Because, Scientologists are very sue happy.
Yeah, they'll sue the shit out of you.
Very sue happy. Honestly, yeah. So I worked there, and, like, I was down there, and I was like, what is up with the clay figures? And I asked one of the other graphic designers. There were 4 of us. And I asked one of the other graphic designers, who was absolutely not a Scientologist. Actually, none of the graphic designers were Scientologists, now that I'm thinking about it. One was Jehovah's Witness, but the other 3 were atheists. So I was just like, what the fuck is that about? Like, it looks like they're doing, like, some fucking Wallace and Gromit shit.
Yeah, Sly found it. It's called Life at the Top of Scientology, Jesse Prince. Wow. Yeah, you need to check that shit out. He's a good dude. He tells a wild stories, man. And it's all true. You got senior cult members remember the shit that he's talking about, going, yep, that's it. Fucking, and He's a nice guy. Just got wrapped up into it. But you would get wrapped up into it. Back in those days before the internet, when that church was young, it was lots of rich people in this fucking church. And it's a cult, and it's basically a UFO cult that's promising to fucking give you mental powers like a Jedi. That's basically what it is. All on the word of this fucking mysterious dude that you never see, fucking called L. Ron Hubbard, who's written all these damn books that you haven't read.
Seriously, if another human being that eats and shits and does everything that I do comes to me and says they have the solution to all my problems, I am telling that person to get as far away from me as fucking possible. It doesn't exist.
They had all these bases and compounds spread out around the world and in the United States that were super expensive, and weird shit like secret desert bases that had fucking huge walls and barbed wire and armed guards, fucking garden underground vaults filled with fucking holy tablets with fucking writings that were written on fucking, what was it? It wasn't platinum, what was it? Titanium plates. And the shit's all fucking sealed, and dudes are out there fucking guarding it like somebody's gonna come get it because they thought the world was gonna end. So they needed all this high security shit.
Don't they all?
And then there's gulags and prisons in there. If you fucking break a church rule, they'll put you in the prisons. And you can't bust them out of the prisons because they'll stay there. They'll go, no, I deserve it. This is my religious atonement, you know? They're fucking nuts. But they're not stupid in a way. They're intelligent people just wrapped up into this shit.
Yeah, and I would never say, I mean, I might have said this at some point. But it's not necessarily stupidity. It's not stupidity. That's something else. People that get sucked into cults, intelligent people get sucked into cults all the time. It doesn't have anything to do with intelligence or lack of intelligence. As much as it might look like that on the surface. I think it's more to do with vulnerability versus not. And I mean, how strong is your personality? How strong is your ego? How strong do you seek approval from others? How, you know what I mean? Do you listen to like other people like as authorities and stuff like that, which I've never done. So I kind of feel like that's maybe why the appeal of this doesn't get to me, but I can see how other people could get sucked in. And to be honest, I give a lot more leeway to people that have been born in it, particularly like Scientology, because at this point, I think they're third generation. There's some people that have, were born in it, and then they've had kids that were born in it too. Now, if you were born in it and that's all you know, then obviously that's going to be all you know. So it's just like you don't know what the world outside is like, because Scientology, if you're in kind of like the inner circle, is very insular, and they don't really like you looking at anything that is critical of Scientology. If you're a public Scientologist, that's kind of different. But there's a book that was written by, what was her name? She was actually David Miscavige's niece, and she wrote a book about, she had grown up in it, and it is horrifying. That is like one of the most horrifying, and I knew all about it because, like I said, I'd worked for them, and I only worked for that company for like 8 months before I was just kind of like, I gotta get the fuck out of here, because it wasn't just that company, but it was just that I was living in Clearwater at the time, and I don't know if you know, but a lot of Clearwater, Florida is owned by Scientologists. So I got to a point where 8 months into my employment, even though like the pay was good and they weren't really pushing their beliefs on me overtly, but it was just kind of like insidious. And I got to the point where I was just kind of like, look, every time I go to the fucking grocery store by my apartment, I think everybody in there is Scientologists, and they're like watching me and shit like that. I was like, this isn't good. This like isn't good for my mental health. I need to get the fuck out of here. So I quit. And then like I moved back to Daytona for a little while, where I'm from. And but the fact that they could do that to me was just like, it pissed me off like a lot. And so after that happened, I started going back into the history, because a couple people that worked there that had worked there for a longer time than me, because some of the people, like I said, a lot of the people that worked there were Scientologists, but a lot of them weren't, and they weren't real jazzed about it. Like, they were just like me. They were just like working there for the paycheck, because the pay was actually like pretty decent for the area.
So you're talking about Clearwater?
Yeah.
Yeah, Clearwater is their base. You told them about that. It's almost like their capital base. They took over the fucking town, although they're forcing them out now.
Good.
They're not listening to them like they used to. They took over the whole fucking town and the cops. Cops are scared of them. because they would attack you with fucking lawyers. They drive you fucking crazy. They bought up every fucking piece of downtown fucking Clearwater. They bought up all the fucking property. Every building that would come up for sale, they'd buy it. And they would force all the businesses out. So they basically owned downtown, but they're reversing that now. The cult's not as strong as it was.
Thankfully. Well, everybody's like clued in their
knows
bullshit,
what it is
I guess.
now. Yeah.
Which, like I said, a lot of people coming out, like getting out the fuck out of there, like high-ranking people, and having their own YouTube channels, or having like, you know, like what's her face, Leah Remini.
Leah Remini, yeah.
Like coming out and doing that show. I think she did like a huge amount
of damage to them.
That and South Park.
Yeah.
Like that episode that was making fun of that really like mainstreamed.
Because it was true. South Park episode fucked them up, what they're talking about.
I know. And I was like, that's awesome, because it's like a cartoon, but it's like it's for the good, like overall, like societally, because that shit needs to be fucking killed.
Yeah, and they weren't a joke. They weren't
fucked up.
They were goofy fuckers, if you ask me, but they had, you know, they weren't a joke. They had great abilities. They were the only religious institution or cult that was able to fucking infiltrate the FBI. They would fucking get people to go to school and then try to go to work for the FBI, and they penetrated the FBI. They had fucking, it was called Operation Snow White. And they had, dozens of agents inside the FBI going through their files and trying to find out everything that the FBI knew about Scientology. And it's because L. Ron Hubbard was paranoid. He thought the FBI was after him. They weren't. FBI didn't know anything about him, really. Didn't give a shit.
They're like, well, now we're after you.
Now they came after him. They threw L. Ron Hubbard's wife into jail and shit over behind it. He wasn't even man enough to fucking take the rap. He blamed it all on his wife. They threw her in jail.
That seems about right.
Yeah, that's the way fucking L. Ron was.
John Smith brings up Going Clear. Yeah, that was a good one too. That documentary, that was also really good. But the thing about it was that, like, after I left that fucking crazy ass place, because I knew I wasn't going crazy. I'm like, these people are crazy, not me, but it's making me feel like I'm going crazy, and I don't like that feeling. So I was like, I gotta quit, even though the money was okay. So I left, and then I started doing a bunch of research, because I knew that somebody had told me, like, there was an editor that worked there. What was his name? Lyle something. And he was like an older guy. He was like the only editor there that was not a Scientologist. And we would go out to lunch. Like, sometimes, like, all the non-Scientologists would go out to lunch so we could, like, gossip about them. So we did that sometimes. So Lyle would come with us sometimes. He's just like an older man. And he'd been working there for a really long time. And he's like, you know, Lisa McPherson used to work here. Lisa McPherson, if you don't know, like, please Google that, because it's kind of like a very famous case. Like, if you're talking about like Scientology, she like died in Big Blue, like it was Big Blue, right?
Yeah,
the fucking
Blue.
In Clearwater.
They had her in prison in there, basically.
Yeah, and it was this whole thing. It's horrific, like the whole case. So they said, yeah, she used to work here, and like the sales manager, I can't remember what her name was, but it's like that used to be her roommate. And he's like, you know, like when she died, when Lisa McPherson died, a bunch of the fuckers that work here and that worked here when I was working there, they're like, they had to testify at the trial. Yeah. And he named like a bunch of people, and I was like, holy shit, are you serious? He's like, yeah, I'm serious. He's like, I was here when that shit happened, because he was, like I said, he was an old man. And he's like, yeah, so they know some shit. So I looked that shit up afterward, and it was like fucking horrifying. Yeah. Yes. The sales manager, and I knew her. Yeah. That was her roommate. Yeah. And they totally, like, she fucking died. I kind of feel like they didn't kill her directly, but they were totally indirectly irresponsible.
For those of you who don't know the deal of what Scientology is and what it believes in. It got religious status. It's considered to be a religion by the federal government, so it's tax exempt.
Which that shit needs to be. Yeah. Well, honestly, all religious tax exemption needs to be taken away, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm not really all that sure.
I'm not real into that.
It's because religions are a business. Okay, but this motherfucker's really much. Very. I mean,
you want to run it like a business. You want to like tell people who to vote for from the pulpit and shit like that. Fine. Pay taxes.
Yeah, they're all kind of like businesses, if you ask me. They own property and they're big into real estate. You're a business. Yep.
Pay taxes like the rest of us.
Right. So what Scientology is about? We're going to try to encapsulate it in a way that people who don't know,
I gotta pee.
who don't really know its scriptures and its tenets, basically what it is it's a UFO cult that believes in alien possession. That your bad habits and your sins are actually what they are, is they're alien souls that are fucking sucked up onto you like parasites, making you do bad shit. If you confess your sins on a lie detector test, you can drive those fucking things out of you like an exorcism. And then once they are off of you, these alien demons, basically, once they're off of you, you can start building yourself up because you're clear. You can start building yourself up through what they would call a bridge, which is different levels. And then it turns into a thing where you're paying for the courses that you need to have these skills to go up through these different levels of progression, like you're leveling up in Dungeons and Dragons, all right? And what you're doing is you're paying to have these motherfuckers train you into being a wizard. That's basically what it is. A space wizard. You're paying to become a space wizard. And with every one of these fucking levels you go up that you got to pay for, you're gaining force powers like out of Star Wars. The ability to fucking, read people's minds. The ability to the Jedi mind trick. The ability to, if you hurt yourself, the ability to back time up and do it again so you don't get hurt. That kind of shit. And because you backed up time and you didn't get hurt, you don't remember. You see, you didn't remember that it happened. So, unbeknownst to you as a high-level Scientology, you're fucking dying and getting hurt all the time, but you don't remember it because you're backing up time and fixing it and going back. So really, you got killed in car accidents 3 or 4 times. You stubbed your toe and shit a whole bunch of times. You fucking lost your wife a whole bunch of times. You lost all this money, but you were able to reverse time and do it again, and that's why you don't remember it.
Because you're super powerful.
You're superpowers. They call it OT powers. They're operating thetan powers.
Come on.
Because we are all thetans, which are like souls, alien souls. And then there's things called, it's ridiculous. But I got to give LRH, that's what they call L. Ron Hubbard. They call him LRH. I'm going to give him some credit. When he was alive, he was very popular. The cult members liked him. He was kind of a nice guy, at least to the cult. He did fucked up shit to his wives. Cheated on them and fucking sent them to jail, for shit he did.
So to me, that seems like he's not really a nice person.
Well, he was nice to the cult.
Right.
He was nice to the cult followers.
If you're only nice to some people,
he was nice to the cult.
Then that's you're not a nice person.
He was evidently very entertaining and charismatic. He would tell all these fucking stories, and that motherfucker made all this shit up. All right, his science fiction sucked. He wasn't a good writer, but he was evidently entertaining. At least the people who were in cults thought he was entertaining.
I will say I haven't read any of his fiction. To be fair,
it's supposed to suck.
I haven't read it, so like I said, I'm not judging, but I have read a lot of his writing in regards to his Scientology courses, and I can say right now that they are fucking insufferable.
Yeah.
He comes across as it's very neckbeardy in the sense that he comes across very I know everything and this is some of the shit. Well, yeah, because I told you the place I used to work, they made you do a half hour because every single work day, 5 days a week, half an hour, and you had to do all these courses, and I had to do a shit ton of them. So I got a bunch of Scientology courses for free. All they did was just piss me off more, though. It didn't make me want to join the shit. I was just kind of holy shit, how can anybody fall for this crap? But anyway, so I was doing the shit, and I'm reading it, and I'm this dude wrote for a living? I don't know. It's just his attitude, it's just it drips with condescension.
Yeah.
And he seems to think that he understands things better than he actually does. It comes across that it's very Dunning-Kruger in the sense that he thinks he's like way smarter than he actually is. Like you read it and you're just kind of like, it's either like super obvious shit or like super delusional shit.
Yeah,
There's like no in between.
I don't think any of the Scientology thing was actually planned all that well.
No,
I think it was he just pulling it out of his ass.
Yeah, big time. And you can tell that if you read it.
And he had a big staff behind him that could kind of edit his shit and get it together and keep it into kind of like a sellable product. It is a trip, man. The whole Scientology story is a trip. I mean, and then Tom Cruise is involved in this shit. How this happened? Fuck. How this shit happened?
How did your hat flew off?
I'm getting excited.
He's getting excited. He got so excited that his hat went woo. Blew his hat right off.
They actually had a good idea. They were living in the Hollywood. Their main base was in Hollywood. Well, their second main base. Their main base is Clearwater, Florida. That's really where the organization is run out of.
Yeah.
But
that's where Big Blue is.
Yeah, but Big Blue's in Big Blue is in Hollywood, isn't it? That's the Big Blue Hospital. That's Hollywood.
I'm pretty sure that's.
I think it's Hollywood. No, what it is flag base. Or staff base is in Clearwater. I think it's called staff.
Google that shit.
Flag. I'll look at it later. I gotta stay on top. The in Hollywood was kind of like their PR army and their recruitment army, because Clearwater, when they were there, is a sleepy town. Basically, city.
I mean, it's not. Well, I mean, it's not massive, but it's part of the Tampa, St. Petersburg, Clearwater. It's a big metropolitan area, but Clearwater itself was kind of like more like a sleepy beach town. But like I said, it's very adjacent to like Tampa and St. Petersburg, which are like much bigger cities.
But in the day that they started working on it, there wasn't very much there. I mean, there was stuff, but it was nothing compared to L.A. or Hollywood area. You know, well, that's pretty densely populated. So this is more of like a port/resort area. Place where you go down there and get some clams.
I mean, it has a nice-ass beach, I will say.
Yeah, it's beach.
Honestly, if you're going to go to beaches, like the west coast of Florida, like the beaches are gorgeous. Like on the Gulf of Mexico. Yeah. Like prettier than the East Coast beaches, I think.
So, I forgot what I was getting. Anyway, Tom, they decided that for a church to really grow, you have to have fucking real fucking high caliber members. And they were thinking celebrities and actors. So they started to fucking open shit up in Hollywood where they were. And they wanted to recruit well-known actors and actresses. And then they wanted to fucking take unknown actors and actresses and try to make them into known stars. So once they're famous in front of everybody, they could become a publicly known Scientologist, which would raise the social status of the church.
Yeah,
because churches are always about social status.
They knew what they were doing.
They knew what they were doing.
Although I will say, like nowadays, I kind of feel like your highest profile Scientologist, like Tom Cruise, he's getting older now. Probably the highest profile one now is probably like Elizabeth Moss. I feel like, and I think she might have been born into it.
Yeah.
So
that's something else.
And I love her, but I don't really get like how she doesn't talk about Scientology.
Yeah, people don't realize there's several generations of these bitches born.
That's what I was saying earlier. I think that's like I think it's on the third generation now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So people were kind of like mystified behind the Tom Cruise things, and I've listened on that channel that I recommend, Surviving Scientology. It has the Jesse Prince show on there. That's the one you want to go for. Surviving Scientology, YouTube. There's a lot of interviews and a lot of stories of fucking people that came up and know the whole Tom Cruise story. They worked behind the scenes to make certain things happen. They'll tell you the whole stories about Tom. Tom's not on there, of course. Okay. But there were people that were around when all that was happening. High-ranking Scientologists. They don't say everything about the Tom Cruise situation. I think they kind of keep certain things private, but they claim that they recruited Tom Cruise early on. It was around the time where he did Days of Thunder, around that time, and they told him that they could help him with his career and on.
Well, didn't Mimi Rogers get him into that?
Yeah, something like that. I think it was
like that was his first wife, right?
I think so. And the major thing that they said about Tom is that they said that they could help him with his problems, and that his main problem, they claim, was dyslexia.
Yeah, he was dyslexic.
And I don't know if that's a code word for illiteracy or what. I don't know. Okay. It may have been. Because just because a dude's famous doesn't mean that motherfucker can read. It just doesn't. But there's a lot of things that I've heard about Tom Cruise. I heard that Tom Cruise could memorize a script just on one reading and would remember everything. He had a real good memory. He was very intelligent. My theory is that he had a good memory, he was intelligent, but he'd never really learned how to read that well. I think they just taught him how to read. Now, what they do is during your, what do they call it when you got when you're auditing? Auditing is kind of like their version of exorcism or prayer. You got to hold these fucking electric fucking cans. It's like a primitive lie detector test. During that time, they're recording it all. So during your confessions, they get a lot of dirt on you. And once they have all this dirt on you, you can't leave. Because then they'll fucking make that shit public. Okay?
Yep.
So, now, Tom Cruise, during all this shit, he did get like the best of the Scientology treatment. I mean, they made whole bases behind him. Him and his girlfriends, they'd make a damn base. And they'd plant whole fields of flowers and shit when he was getting married. What was that girl that she's
Nicole Kidman.
Nicole Kidman.
Well, they were trying to sucker her into it.
Yeah, trying to get him.
She was like, no thanks.
When Nicole Kidman started getting into the fucking Tom Cruise, Tom was having Scientology making whole apartments for him with fucking fields and whole fucking tennis courts and flowers everywhere and all these romantic hot spots for them to go to all these fucking Scientology bases, him and Nicole. So they were trying to build this fucking Scientology super couple. Which she would have been like the female version of fucking Tom Cruise, I think, had she been along with it. You know. Because she does have the star power of Tom Cruise.
Well, she's still fucking famous nowadays. She's still A-list nowadays.
Yeah.
So I love that she was just kind of like, nope.
She eventually said, no, fuck this. I've seen interviews with her, you know, on other shows where she's like, she wasn't into it. That she's like, nah, I don't want to be around. Everything
Can't blame her.
Everything was real carefully managed, you know. And it was kind of like Tom had all these damn handlers and all these Scientology handlers.
Can you imagine how fucking exhausting that would be? I just can't.
I
don't know. Like, the reason that I couldn't get into Scientology, I can't get into, like, any of that cult kind of bullshit. Yeah. One, I don't like being told what to do by anybody. I don't care who the fuck you are. But like I said, anybody that thinks they have all the answers, or it's like, oh, I have this thing, oh, I'm going to give you this special thing. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're just a fucking person like me. You don't know any better than I do. And honestly, you don't know me. Yeah. So it's like, how would you know what I needed better than what I know? I'll figure my own shit out. Thank you very much. Well,
when Tom started getting into church, you know, the CEO of the church is David Miscavige. He's about the same age as Tom, and they're about the same size. These little short motherfuckers, 5'5", 5'6", 5'7", around that time. Maybe even shorter. I think David Miscavige is 5'4", isn't he? I think he's a little bitty dude.
So he's like...
He's miniature.
He's only like an inch taller than me.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty miniature.
He's pretty miniature. And
I'm only about 5'2", 5'3".
Yeah. And being a short guy myself, fucking... When you get too many short guys together in fucking one spot, all of a sudden there's fucking... It's like little people, like midgets. We got friends who are also dwarves. It doesn't motherfucker... It's a cross between it's a bunch of haters... And it's also kind of like a short guy mafia.
Well, it's like an insecurity, like ego, kind of like everybody has to be.
They start trying to one up each other. I'm telling you, man. Like that motherfucker, this and that.
Fragile male egos.
And then it's just like, it's not fragility, it's just competition. When you get dudes who are peers, they start to fucking bond and compete simultaneously. And
it's the source of so many problems.
It's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. So it's part of the animal kingdom.
Just chill out, man. So it's all right.
So, look. So, Tom and David Miscavige, who's running this fucking church, kind of become these weird friends. And Tom is today is basically the official second in command, I guess you could say, the unofficial second in command of Scientology. Whatever Tom Cruise says, the fucking Scientology is going to do it.
Every time I see the two of them together, it's
they hang out, ride motorcycles. And
the douchiness is like... Yeah, I can't even deal with the douchiness. I'm just like they're both douchey on their own. I mean, obviously David Miscavige is way
douchier,
100 times more douchey than Tom Cruise. But Tom Cruise is pretty douchey too. Yeah. So when they get together, it makes this black hole of douchiness, and I just can't. I can't deal with it. It's too much.
There's
it's
some
too
kind
much.
of weird synergy going on.
It's too much.
There's a weird where David Miscavige kind of secretly wants to be Tom Cruise. He wants to be.
Why don't they just fuck already and just leave the rest of us alone? I mean, unless they have already.
And then secretly,
they should.
Then Tom Cruise actually kind of wants to be the leader of Scientology. So he kind of wants to be David Miscavige. They want to beat each other.
They just need to fuck.
And
already.
and I'm telling you this because in that fucking movie that came out, the Scientology made called Battlefield Earth. Which I love that movie. I love that movie. It's fucking goofy as shit.
It's terrible.
It's goofy as shit. But it's fucking funny, and I like it. I like it.
I mean, it's so bad.
The star of the show features an actor that looks just like David Miscavige. Looks just like him. What's that actor's name? He looks just like David Miscavige, the star of that show. Some of you guys can drop that in there. But especially at that time, you could put David Miscavige and that actor side by side, and they would look the same. And I was thinking to myself, David Miscavige wants to be a movie star, like Tom Cruise.
Of course.
That motherfucker wants to be a movie star.
Like I said, fragile egos, man. Fragile egos.
And then, David Miscavige talking shit about Tom Cruise behind his back, he's a fucking dork. You know what I mean? Miscavige thinks fucking Tom Cruise is a dork, even though
spoiler alert, they're both dorks.
Those motherfuckers are in love with each other.
Why don't they just fuck and leave the rest of us alone?
They're in love with each other. I could tell.
Seriously.
And then
you guys just fuck each other and shut up, and we'll leave you alone. And it'll all be fine. It's a win-win. Please.
Anyway,
then we don't have to hear about it anymore.
But I'm fucking Jenny's hard on him, but I know how dudes are, and I think it's just fucking hilarious.
Well,
to me, it's hilarious.
To
me, it's hilarious.
As a
I think it's
woman, woman,
I know, dude.
Our patience for dudes shenanigans is already just this big, and the older you get, it's smaller and smaller and smaller until you get to a point where you're old. It's just oh my god, I just can't I can't deal. I can't deal anymore.
But let me clear the air in case Tom's fucking watching.
I'm sure Tom Cruise is watching our fucking.
No, I was gonna say
12,000 subscription YouTube.
I'm just gonna say that fucking. No, I respect Tom Cruise's work as an actor. I respect his work.
He was in some good shit. I'm not saying that. I'm not shitting on him across the board.
No.
I've told you.
I respect his work.
He was great in Magnolia. He was great in Interview with the Vampire. He's great in some shit.
Right. And here's
I like the Mission Impossible movies. Hey, I'm not fucking...
Here's my grand theory as to why Tom Cruise is a Scientologist and why he's been in Scientology and why he likes it. Tom Cruise came from humble background, made a shit ton of money, got real famous in fucking movies. But his job was to pretend to be these exciting characters and to be this dude that could drive cars and fucking fly jet planes and fucking shoot guns and do all this macho shit. But it's just pretending.
And that wasn't good enough.
That's not good enough.
Like I said, he's a fragile ego. It wasn't good enough.
He wanted the real thing.
He wanted to do it.
Okay.
Right.
Now, he can't join the army. He's fucking Tom Cruise. He can't join the army. He'd never, you know what I mean? Fucking, he's famous. He'd be losing out on all kinds of money.
Elvis did.
Elvis did, but that was in a time when you got drafted.
Yeah.
Okay. He can't join the army.
I just thought it'd be an asshole by saying that.
Going to Scientology was because it has a paramilitary kind of a flavor to it. Gave him credentials and training and stuff that he needed to, at least in his own mind, give himself the credentials. Okay, which probably true because Scientology gave Tom Cruise things that it wouldn't give a normal.
Well, I mean, some people really need the whole hierarchical. I'm moving up a chain, and now I'm more powerful than this. And I need people like to officially like say that I'm over these people.
Right.
I don't have that, so I don't get it. But it's like some people, like a lot of people do have that.
Well,
I get it.
They're giving him some paranormal type fucking training. You know what I mean? He's got mental skills like a Jedi or whatever. But I think he's also doing things like he really can ride motorcycles. He really can fly aircraft. He really is good with a gun.
Yeah, and I'm not taking that away.
Yeah.
He does a lot of his own stunts.
He does his own
Mad
stunts.
respect.
He does.
Because a lot of actors don't.
And
he's in really good shape for his age.
Yeah, for his age, he's fucking great. And
I'm not shitting on him for that.
His movie's kicking ass right now. Top Gun 2 is kicking fucking ass.
And I'm sure it's good. We still haven't seen it.
We still haven't seen it. We gotta go see it.
But I've heard it's amazing.
Yeah, I'm gonna see it.
Everybody, thing that I've seen said it was amazing.
And fucking, I love the whole Mission Impossible series. And
those were good.
And I'm a big James Bond fan.
The later ones were good. I didn't love the first one.
It got better as it went.
It did, actually.
It got better as it went on.
I liked them more as like they got.
And I'm a huge Bond fan. I like the fucking Daniel Craig Bonds. I fucking love them. And fucking Cruise and his little team there took Mission Impossible and made it competitive against that.
Yeah.
And it's good.
I'll agree with that.
Fallout was great. And that last one, I think there was another one after that. But the last three.
Well, we saw Fallout in the theater.
Yeah.
I liked that a lot, actually.
Yeah. The last three out of that series were really good. The last 2 or 3, they were as good as a James Bond movie. So, I'm not making fun of Tom. Tom's fucking, he just took a different path. I just kind of goofed a little bit on the church. That church is fucking bad to the average person. It's.
I mean, to him, it probably like works for him. But the thing about it is that.
But they're not about the average motherfucker.
Well, the thing about
that church is about exclusivity, and you're not good enough to be a Scientologist, which is okay, that's fine. But their clergy in the Sea Org, they treat them like fucking dirt, and it's kind of a scam on them. It's like military service, but without any kind of pay and without the fucking legitimacy of military service.
Right, because if you tell your people, oh, I'm OT8 or whatever, they're like, I don't give a shit about that. Yeah. Who fucking cares? Okay, you're in a cult. Good for you. You just spent like $400,000 on some shit that doesn't mean anything. Good for you, I guess.
My thing is that Tom would have been great without Scientology.
That's what I'm saying. And it's like, well, that's what makes me mad.
Right.
It's like you don't need that.
Yeah. I don't think he would have been.
You don't need that.
Right.
That's what makes me angry about it. Like, I get why people get sucked into cults. I do. Like I said, I probably wouldn't because, like I said, I hate people, and it's like, if I can be around as few people as possible, that's, like, good with me. I don't like being told what to do. I don't like being, like, having to explain anything that I'm doing. I'm just anything. So, I'm not a joiner. I don't really like that. So... but I get that, like, other people are kind of like, and particular people that are really vulnerable, and I feel like a lot of churches and cults and stuff like that, they know that people are vulnerable, like, because they have, trauma in their past, or they're drug addicts or something like that. So it's like, we're going to target those kind of people, which Scientology does with Narconon. There's other kind of stuff like that. We're going to, like, bring in all these people that have other problems, and then we're going to, like, present, oh, we have a solution to your problems, XYZ, and then they're going to, like, suck you into it. And that's just replacing one addiction with another. I really think it's bad, but, I'm not, if they're adults, I can't really, like, tell them what to do, but it just, like, makes me really, really sad when I see people, like, falling into shit like that. Because it's like, I know it's hard, but you really just kind of have to figure your own shit out. Nobody knows you better than you do. You know what I mean? And I know some people need outside help, and I'm not shitting on that. Like, if you need that, then absolutely get that. But I'm just saying that a lot of times, a fucking cult, especially one like Scientology that's going to charge you, like, all the fucking money, you're going to spend up, like, $30,000 or whatever the fuck it is, and they're going to, like, enslave you and shit like that. Don't fall into that kind of crap, because they cannot help you. They really can't. Maybe they can help you in the short term, but in the long term, that is going to be really, really bad. You're just replacing one addiction with another. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, that really, really makes me angry. That really makes me angry. I just really wish people wouldn't fall for it. But, I see how people do. And they know that. That's why they target vulnerable people. And that just makes me really, really mad. Because it's very, very cynical.
Which time?
Because the fact that not just Scientology, but like cults in general and religions in general, do target vulnerable people.
Yeah.
Because they know that they're open to that kind of shit. Because they're looking for something to like, please help me. Yeah. And it's like, that's shitty.
Tom wanted to be in some kind of an organization to give him fucking street cred and official documentation. That's what I thought. And they gave him good training. He probably got the best they could ever give him.
Well, and he doesn't get...
A lot of the shit that he ended up that made him fucking good, he would have got that anyway.
That's what I'm saying. He didn't need that.
Yeah,
he didn't need that. That's what kind of like pisses me off about it. But, you know. John Gore says we all come under the spell of some kind of bullshit or other. I mean, you know, I guess that's just like a human thing. I get it, but don't fall into a spell of bullshit that's gonna like charge you $100,000 to like tell you can have Jedi powers. Just, you know, that's my pro tip. Because that's... I don't know. I guess I'm, like, particularly salty about, like, fucking Scientology because I had to spend 8 months of my life, like, looking at their stupid fucking faces, like, every day of the week, and it just, like, it made me really, 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 really mad about them. Like, and the thing about it was that, I was gonna say earlier, the company that I worked for, one weird thing was that, you know, yeah, a lot of people there, like, were Scientologists or they were, like, older, but there was a new generation working there too, and they were like in managerial positions, and some of them were like 16. They had grown up in the shit, and that was all they knew. They didn't know anything normal. Like, you couldn't have a normal conversation with them about like normal shit because you would talk to them about like movies or any kind of like cultural kind of reference or anything like that, and they had no idea what you were talking about.
Yeah,
like the one girl that was like she was like the HR manager, I think, and she was 16, and she was working at this company, and I was talking to her one day, like, I tried to avoid, like, talking to her, but I was talking to her one day about something, and it's like, I'm talking about just shit that, I don't even remember what it was, but shit that everybody would know, like, if you were a normal person. She had no idea what I was talking about. No idea. Yeah. And they had, like, this weird, like, blank stare when they were looking at you, but then, like...
they call it pie face.
Conversely... they thought that they were smarter than you.
Yeah.
Which was, like, infuriating. Yeah. Because it's like they would talk to you and they were idiots and they didn't know anything. Yeah. But then they would also, like, project this real superiority, kind of just like, oh my god, don't even do that fucking to me. Don't do that to me. I think I hate that more than anything else in the world. Dumb fuckers pretending, like, thinking they're smarter than you. Oh my god, I hate that so much. And it's like, when that came across to me, I was just kind of like, I'm leaving. I'm leaving. I have to go into, like, the other office right now. Bye. Fucking 16-year-old talking to me that doesn't know shit about anything. Right. And is, like, acting like they're so much smarter than me. And I'm just like, okay. I'm gonna hit you. So I'm gonna, like, go in the other room. It was like that. Ugh. That's why I had to leave. I was like, I'm gonna fucking murder all these motherfuckers. I hated it.
Now, Gramp is going back saying that all of Tom Cruise... Gramp is fucking... he's in the house. All right. Gramp is saying that all his exes says that he got to be too much. Kidman, Penelope Cruz.
I can see that.
Oh, yeah. Motherfucker, he grows and grows and forces you out. He's probably drive you fucking crazy.
Yeah. Well, he drives me crazy, and I don't even know the dude.
Right.
So I can imagine that
he's never been around anybody to tell him no, probably.
That if you knew him intimately, like, you had to put up with him for, like, however many hours in the day.
He's probably never been around anybody.
Fuck, man.
He's probably never
that would be exhausting. I'd be exhausted after an hour.
He's never been around anybody that can tell him no, or any regular guys, or nobody that can fucking slap him. He's always had the power to kick people out of the... Get out of here, you know, security and stuff. So, you know...
Well, I mean, if anybody
being kind of like a child, you know.
I mean, if anybody ever like wants anybody to volunteer to slap him, I'll do it. Mm. I'll do it.
Yeah.
Just saying. I mean, I'm sure there's probably going to be a long line, but I'll do it. He needs a good slap. Just saying.
It's too late. He's ossified. He's fucking frozen.
I mean, he's older than we are, so I kind of and I don't want to say like, you know, people can change whatever age they are. But generally, the older you get, the more you get stuck in your ways.
Everybody's saying that Top Gun 2 is great. I want to see it.
I have not...
Pookie, will you
Holy shit, what are you doing?
She's racing invisible...
She's like, what? I wasn't
and racing invisible things.
She thinks there's like an invisible thing in here. Like,
yeah.
She's like... And then she's like, "What?"
Sly likes the Mission Impossible too. Yeah, I like them.
I liked all the Mission
even that old one, you know, with the.
I didn't like the first one.
I liked they were different.
They was a little goofy.
They were different.
But as they got more like the James Bond one,
right.
James Bond movies, I was more into them.
Well, one of them was a John Woo movie, and it had that fucking kung fu style feel to it. I think it was part 2. I think it was Mission Impossible 2. It was John Woo. Remember him?
Yeah, I know who John Woo is. Wait, did I see the second one?
I don't
you
know.
showed me the first one, but I think I fell asleep because I was like, "Oh, this is goofy as shit. I don't like this."
Yeah,
and I think I fell asleep.
They were movies of their time, but then they started to update, and they kind of I think Casino Royale forced them to change. They're like, "Yeah, we need to go more what Bond is doing."
Yeah,
and it got a lot better.
That was the right decision.
Yeah.
Mega says Cruise is one of the last big stars, maybe the last one. He is also a very good actor given the right script. Yes, he is.
Yeah,
he can act.
In Collateral, he was great.
Yeah.
He played an assassin.
Like I said, he makes a good villain.
He's a real good villain.
Because, like I said, that leans into his natural assholery, which he should do that more often.
He's a good villain, yeah.
I should show you Magnolia. It's an indie film, but he kind of plays a douche in that one too, and he's excellent. He's excellent when he plays a douche.
He's a good villain, but he's a good hero too. He can do both. Also, when he plays somebody who's kind of like in between, like in fucking Eyes Wide Shut, he wasn't a bad guy, but he wasn't a good guy either. He was kind of a fucking dick in a way.
Yeah, he was kind of a douche in that one too.
Yeah.
Well, the thing, okay, I liked him in Eyes Wide Shut, kind of. Although, I mean, I like that movie. It's not my favorite Stanley Kubrick, obviously, but
it's a good movie.
You know, it was a good movie. I appreciate it more like the more times I've seen it. The thing I don't like about Tom Cruise playing heroes, particularly in films like, maybe not so much the new Top Gun because I haven't seen it, but like the original Top Gun, stuff like that, where he's playing like a very obvious, like, I'm the hero of the movie. That's the problem I have, is that he comes across very much like, I'm the hero of this movie. Look at my cool ass smile. And he's like very, very cocky, and it's just like, I don't know, that just irritates the shit.
That's kind of his brand, though.
I know, but that's one of the reasons I don't like him, because it irritates the shit.
And I thought he was a good Lestat, even though he doesn't. He doesn't match what was described in the book, but he was a good Lestat, because Lestat's a fucking dick.
Right, and I think that's why that worked. Like initially, when I first heard about it, like many people, were just kind of like, Tom Cruise as Lestat, no, thank you. But then when I saw the movie, I'm like, oh, actually, okay. That works. Yeah. That works. Because, Lestat was kind of a douche. So, I think that worked.
Well,
like I said.
She was a dick.
Yeah. I mean, I said, that kind of worked because he just has this natural...
kind of an arrogant...
cocky, asshole, arrogant...
Yeah.
Which I hate. I hate that in real life, and I don't really like... And every single role he plays, it comes across. And so that's why I say, like, a lot of the roles that he plays, he just seems like he's playing him because he just seems like he's that person. So I kind of feel like it's better when he plays a bad guy because then it kind of, like, just leans into it. Well, I'm an asshole.
Well, you see...
I'm a bad guy.
I grew up under the influence of other kind of movies, I think, as a kid. When Tom Cruise first started to appear... like in Days of Thunder and all that shit, you know, when it was fucking spending summers out in Mississippi. To me, I instantly recognized it as a younger version of like Gator. You know, what's his name?
Burt Reynolds.
Burt Reynolds. Burt Reynolds had that too.
Yeah, but
it wasn't as intense, and Burt Reynolds could laugh at himself. That was
I think that was the main difference. Yeah. Like Burt Reynolds,
he could laugh at himself.
He never pissed me off because he never came across as arrogant. Like maybe there was a little bit of arrogance and cockiness. He was always kind of charming, and he was like a little bit self-deprecating.
Yeah, he'd make fun of himself.
So he could kind of like deflate like the balloon a little bit of his ego.
Yeah.
And that appealed him to me more. Yeah. Tom Cruise, it feels like can't really do that. He takes himself a little bit too seriously.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's jarring to me, and that's what I don't like about him.
If y'all haven't seen Gator 1 and 2, see it. Burt Reynolds. Burt Reynolds action movie. And they were Southern movies made for the South, for the Southern market. It was white-sploitation. Just as good as black exploitation.
Or honky-sploitation.
The honky-sploitation. All right.
I like honky
yeah, anyway, all Southern cruise
or cracker exploitation.
Crack exploitation. All right. It was kind of like a Rudy Ray Moore flick, but not comedy. Yeah, there was comedy in it, but more of a mix.
Not quite as low budget.
Not as low budget,
Moore, but
it had money.
Holy shit! When we were at FYE a couple weeks ago, they had a whole box set of all the Rudy Ray Moore movies.
Yeah,
I think it was like $110, but it was a whole bunch of movies.
All Rudy Ray.
I was tempted. Because
I like Rudy Ray Moore flicks. They're good. They're good movies. They're fucking funny.
I mean, they're terrible, but they're super entertaining.
No, they're good. They're good. They're kind of like that's where Eddie Murphy was inspired.
Yeah,
I mean, you could tell that's where Eddie Murphy was coming from. He was trying to have his own version of a Rudy Ray Moore flick.
I mean,
I'm a fucking huge Eddie Murphy fan, going back to The Golden Child and fucking Beverly Hills Cop. Axel Foley was one of my favorite characters growing up. Fucking, Achmel, the fucking. And you know what? The movies still hold up. 1 and 2 holds up. 3 never held up. And evidently,
well, it was kind of shit at the time.
Yeah, it was. It was just the tone was wrong, and the writing wasn't as good. You could tell, but it was just kind of thrown together kind of quickly. But evidently, rumor has it that Eddie is making a fucking Axel Foley comeback flick, and
yeah, I heard that as well.
And that's one of his favorite characters. So that bitch, I'm thinking it's going to be good, because Coming to America 2 was good.
Yeah, it was.
It was good. It was good. It wasn't as good as 1.
No,
but it still has a good thing, man. Fucking.
But it was pretty.
When
good.
the king died and shit,
Yeah,
he had his own. He was present at his own funeral.
I did like that. To me, like I laughed.
The reason why 2 why Coming to America 2 wasn't as good as 1 is because Coming to America 2 was PG.
Oh.
That was the reason. Coming to America 1 was a rated R. All right, that you kind of want a rated R type of deal, but they went a little bit more of a.
The thing about it though is that like nowadays, is there really any because most people don't see shit in the theater anyway, so it's like, is there really any reason to make shit PG-13?
They wanted to hit the family fucking market.
Fuck
and
that.
it evidently went well for that was.
Man, kids today have seen everything.
Yeah, I know.
Don't worry about it.
They shouldn't worry about it.
Don't fucking worry about it. Jesus Christ. Actually, even back in the fucking late 70s and 80s, I had seen like way worse shit that's in fucking movies nowadays, so it's like, don't worry about it. Kids, they'll be all right. They'll be all right. It's just a movie.
Mango says it was shockingly bad. No, it was not shockingly bad. Go ahead, Mango. It was good.
It was okay.
It was
okay.
I enjoyed it, but like it was PG. That was the problem.
Yeah, it seemed a little
it was a little
neutered.
tame. It was a little bit tame.
A little neutered. Yeah.
But I wouldn't mind. Look, fuck y'all. All right. I liked Vampire in Brooklyn. I thought that was a good.
No one's gonna. I liked Vampire in Brooklyn.
There's a lot of people that hate that movie.
A lot of people.
I love Vampire in Brooklyn.
I like Vampire in Brooklyn.
I wouldn't mind him coming back to play that character again. I thought that was a good movie.
I liked
it was a good vampire movie.
Yeah.
This is as good as Blackula and Scream, Blackula and Scream. It was funny at certain points, and but it had a good mixture and it had romance. I saw that bitch in the theater. I was the only one watching it. Might have been one other person in the theater.
Little younger Tom in there by himself.
No, I wasn't that young. I was out of the Army when that came out.
Well, you were younger than you are now, though.
I think it was around 95,
right?
96. Yeah.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
So you were a littler.
I had fun at the theater watching it. And then I was happy that Eddie had come back.
To be honest, if I have to see a movie in a theater, I would rather there be nobody else in the theater but me. Because then everyone will shut up for a change.
Another one that I saw in the theater almost by myself was fucking what's his name? The Frighteners, and I love
it.
The Frighteners with Michael J. Fox.
Yeah.
And it had the
The Frighteners is so good. I kind of feel like, well,
it bombed.
I know, but I mean that was '96.
Yeah.
But I feel like nowadays, I mean, me like watching all the horror channels and stuff like that, I feel like most people are like really into that movie now. So I feel like it took a long time to find its audience.
Yeah. Good movie.
Well, The thing about...
It's like a paranormal version
Well,
of
it's
Back
Peter
to the Future.
Jackson. It's Peter Jackson.
Yeah.
Like, if you guys don't know, Lord of the Rings, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, real good.
He started out in horror. Like, dude, Dead Alive. If you haven't seen Dead Alive, please see that. It's the goriest movie ever made. I don't think there's any competitor for that crown. And it's also one of the most entertaining, like, gore flicks that I've ever seen. I don't think you've seen it, have you? Dead Alive?
No.
Oh, you'd probably
Sly said he'd never seen Vampire in Brooklyn. Oh, you got to see that one.
Oh, it's good. It's fun.
It's good, yeah.
It's good.
Good.
But the thing about it is that horror comedy or black comedy is always a hard sell. I'm not sure why that is. It's just that it's not, like, really widely palatable, I guess. The Frighteners, the tone is kind of all over the place. But so maybe, like, some people are like, well, is this supposed to be horror? Is it supposed to be comedy? Is it supposed... And, like, some people like that turn people off at the time. But nowadays, people, like, get what he was trying to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I kind of feel like that's a really hard... Black comedy seems like it's really, really hard to sell. Always.
Imagine if Back to the Future was a horror movie. And it had a cast that you fucking dug. And that's what that movie is, if you ask me. It's got Michael J. Fox. He's kind of playing Marty McFly, but he's older, and the motherfucker's got a past. And
he's a little cynical.
Yeah. Lost his wife, and he's kind of fucking down and out. And he's a paranormal investigator who's bilking the fucking town because he can see ghosts. And he's got some friends that are ghosts. And he's sending these fucking ghosts to go bother people. And then they call... Frank Bannister to come, and he's gonna fucking be like the Ghostbusters, and he's gonna get his fucking money and move on and try to build his dream house to finish construction on his house. His wife got killed, and he was kind of involved in his wife's death. All right, he's kind of guilty about it, and then he's got fucking 4 ghosts. He's got the hanging judge. Oh, what's his name? To do the fucking back in the old west. He's fucking funny. His ectoplasm's all dried up. This old fucking brainy fucking Poindexter motherfucker from the 20s who hung himself is another ghost. And then a 1970s pimp is a fucking with a big old afro is his 3rd ghost. I can't remember his name.
I mean, The Frighteners is so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
And he uses
like I said, I
ghosts.
get...
And a dog ghost is the 4th one. The dog ghost.
Like I said, it's not... But if you're into, like, genre-bending stuff, like, it's not a horror movie, although it has horror elements. It's not a comedy, although it has funny shit in it.
Yeah.
And it kind of straddles that line.
Good. I like it.
I think people didn't know what to make of it.
Because it was fun. It was a ghost movie that was fun.
Honestly, you know what one? I did a review not too long ago of a movie called Odd Thomas.
Yeah.
That you would probably dig because it was very similar in tone to The Frighteners. It came out in 2014, 2015, something like that. It was based on a Dean Koontz book. Anton Yelchin was in it. Like, he was in the new Star Trek movie. He passed away. He was very young. He died in, like, a weird freak accident. But he was in it. And it was a similar kind of thing. Like a dude that could see ghosts and stuff. So you'd probably be into that, too.
Well, on Frighteners... Frank Bannister, the dude that fucking Michael J. Fox plays, in his paranormal adventures, bilking money out of the good fucking people of the town that he lives in, runs across the fucking ghost that's killing people. And it's a ghost of a serial killer. And that's where the adventure fucking begins. And Frank's starting to take the rap. They think Frank's killing these people. And there's another ghost out in the cemetery. It's the ghost of a fucking Marine drill sergeant played by R. Lee Ermey. His whole job is to keep motherfuckers in their graves. All right? All kinds of funny. Get in your graves. You shall not fucking bother the people of the...
Can we also talk about how Jeffrey Combs is in this?
That's right. The FBI gets involved.
And he's kind of like channeling Hitler a little bit.
Well, his haircut. The FBI gets involved. Okay, so they send one of their fucking cult paranormal specialists.
Jeffrey Combs.
And he plays this special agent. Danvers is his name.
Yeah.
And it's one of his best fucking characters.
I mean, he's so
special
weird in
agent
this.
Danvers.
I love it.
All right, he's he said he spent 20 years fucking working with cults and paranormal, and he's trying to figure out what the fuck Bannister's doing. And Jeffrey Combs is the fucking motherfucker's weird as shit.
God damn it!
He makes such a great.
I love Jeffrey Combs.
I've seen Combs on fucking as guests on podcasts before. He's and on YouTube shows. He's a fucking great guest, and he drinks through the whole fucking thing. And I would love to have Combs on, but you want to try to get a hold of.
Oh my
Combs
god! If we could get Jeffrey Combs to be on the show.
Oh yeah, Jeffrey Combs to be on.
Oh my god.
We'll sit there and
I would be so stressed out because I'd be like, oh my god, I have to think of all these like cool questions to like ask him.
You have to write up a whole fucking thing.
I would be like nerding.
And we will have a fucking Combs show.
I would have such anxiety.
I'll get him on. I can get him on. Oh, I know I can get him on.
I fucking love Jeffrey Combs.
Yeah. I will see what he's promoting and what show, because he was doing an Edgar Allan Poe thing. Remember?
Yeah.
He was touring with Edgar Allan Poe shows. Fucking, and you know all about Poe.
That's right.
So we get fucking Combs on.
I did
here.
a whole board game.
We'll drink together, because fucking Combs wants to be on for a while where he can drink, and he wants to get up and go take a leak like me, and get up and take a leak in the middle of the show. But
oh my god, could we get him on a Sidetracks show and we'll get him drunk and we'll get
just sit
drunk
there and talk to him.
Oh my god, we'll talk about Edgar Allan Poe and horror movies. And...
Yeah, we'll get him on. If the audience wants fucking,
it would be so stressful for me.
Because we've had pretty well known guests on before. It's just that's not normally the show. It takes time to arrange it. We got to fucking technically get everything, the streaming correct and everything, and we could live stream it. But if you guys want fucking Jeffrey Combs on, we can do it. Just drop it in the comment section.
I mean, he seems so fucking awesome.
He'd be a cool guest. I'd sit there and talk.
Every other like show that I've seen him on, like he seems like delightful.
Yeah,
he just seems like delightful, and I loved everything like I've seen him in. He's like so weird, and I love it. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
They're talking about Fright Night.
What's that? Fright Night. Fright Night's a good one. Yeah.
Linwood's Eye says Fright Night I see every year because of the comedy. Yeah. I mean, Fright Night.
You would like Frighteners if you like Fright Night.
Honestly, Fright Night I think is one of my favorite films from the 80s. Easily one of my favorite horror comedies. I mean, everything about that, I must have seen that like a million times. It's funny, it's scary, it's entertaining. Shit, man. Like, not last Halloween, but the Halloween before, I dressed up like Amy from Fright Night. I had the wig and the dress and everything. So, you know. I love that movie. I've seen it 100 times.
Sly, if you've never seen Vampire in Brooklyn, you need to see that, man. Because what they're homaging in a way is Blackula. Blackula and Scream, Blackula Scream. It's very similar.
Both of which are fantastic.
Which are both real good movies.
Fantastic films.
Yeah, I got them both. Yeah, fuck it. You want to see Vampire in Brooklyn. All right. It's like Blackula, but it has some comedy. There's some comedic characters in it, but Eddie plays a vampire in there, and he's good, man. He's like he's serious. He plays it straight. I don't think he does any comedy as the vampire.
Not that I remember. No, I mean it's been a while.
Kind of goes Bela Lugosi slightly.
Yeah,
a little like Bela Lugosi. He was a vampire that came from somewhere out. I think it was in Haiti. Wasn't he like a Haitian vampire?
Oh shit! I can't even remember like the situation. Like
he's either Haitian or Jamaican. He came from one of those islands, and he comes to the United States to look for a bride. I think, wasn't it? Or what? I can't remember why he came.
Maybe you're thinking of Coming to America.
No, he came in on that ship, but then he saw that woman.
That's right.
Remember?
Yeah, maybe there was like a Dracula thing where it's like it was a reincarnation.
A reincarnation of his wife. And or a reincarnation of his queen.
I can't remember exactly. I've seen so many like vampire movies that I like lose track. Starting 78 is Winona Ryder in Stranger Things 4. Yes, she is. Haven't really kept track of that show after season 2. I mentioned earlier that I had seen. I was very excited like Stranger Things because I really like Stranger Things. But I watched the first 4 episodes. I think there's still 3 left that I haven't watched yet. I just haven't got around to it. But the first 4 are like really good. It's weird watching those kids grow up though. Now they're like fucking teenagers and stuff. It's like super weird. But yeah. Let's see. Fair and Loathing. Okay, I'll rent Vampire in Brooklyn tonight after the podcast. Yeah, it's good. I really liked it. Yeah, I mentioned... Okay, so Stardog78 said... I mentioned this, like, earlier on in the show, like, when we first started. Kate Bush is apparently blowing up again after Stranger Things 4. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I was watching the first few episodes of the 4th season. And I was like, ooh, Running Up That Hill, because I love that song. I've had it on my phone for, like, forever. I used to, like, listen to it when I was out exercising and stuff. And I was just kind of like, holy shit, that song came out in 85. And so I love that they used it. I didn't realize that it had this huge cultural impact. We went to Mannequins last Friday, and the DJ, Paul, like, played the song, and I was like, woo, oh, goody, like, Kate Bush, and I was, like, dancing to it. And then, like, a couple days later, like, I read an article about how Kate Bush, they were asking her for, like, her, statement about, well, how do you feel about being in the top 10 again after all of this time? Because that song came out, like, 1985. And it's like, how do you feel about that? And she's like, yeah, it's, like, pretty awesome, because I can imagine. But I thought that was really cool, though. I don't know. I thought that was really cool. If more people discover Kate Bush because of Stranger Things, then I'm all about it. Because Kate Bush is rad, so, Stardog 78, yeah, we've been, like, listening to Kate Bush a long time. I've loved that song, like, forever. So I thought it was, like, really cool that everybody's, like, into it now.
Say, Sly, did you see Dolomite Is My Name? That's that new Eddie Murphy movie about fucking Rudy Ray Moore.
Newish, yeah. It came out a couple years. I mean, that movie is so fucking good.
It's like 3 years
so
old now.
Good.
Man, that's just so fucking good.
It's so good. It's so entertaining.
When that movie, when Eddie came back with that movie, he just, for me, just fucking blew it out of the fucking park. I was like, oh, yeah. And it topped a lot of his old stuff. And I was just going like, man, fucking so good to have him back. And yeah, fucking Mango's saying that, well, Coming to America 2 wasn't quite as good as it should have been. It was because of the rating. Dolomite Is My Name.
That was
like the best.
I mean, that was way better.
Yes.
That was way better.
Yes, indeed.
I mean, Dolomite Is My Name was like so.
Oh, I was fucking busting up to the whole thing. It was just a good story.
So good.
And it was.
Well, and it had like a great. To be honest, I know this is a weird comparison. Maybe it's not a weird comparison. Dolomite Is My Name was almost kind of like the blaxploitation version, quote unquote, of Ed Wood. It was like weirdly like fucking inspirational.
Yeah.
Because like here are these people that have no money.
Making movies.
They have no idea, and we're just gonna make a movie, and it's just kind of like their enthusiasm. Yeah. It's just like that's fucking great. Yeah. I loved it. I love that.
Jenny gave it to me on Blu-ray as a gift. Fucking, we got to watch that again. Yeah. Dolomite Is My Name. Fucking great movie. And Sly is saying he saw Blackula. It scared him as a kid. You got the sequel's even better. Scream, Blackula.
I honestly like. I mean, Blackula is fantastic.
Yeah.
Scream, Blackula, Scream is a little bit better.
Yeah.
I like that because I like it because
production quality was better.
I like it because of the voodoo angle.
Yeah, the writing.
I mean, I like all that old school voodoo kind of shit.
If you didn't know, Blackula and Scream, Blackula Scream actually was the main inspiration for Anne Wright's Vampire Chronicles when she came out with fucking, Lestat and Interview with the Vampire.
You'd be shocked at how many films.
New Orleans vampires. Yeah.
That Blackula and Scream, Blackula Scream influenced.
Yeah, they were when they came out, vampire movies hadn't been made. Good ones really hadn't been made in a long time, at least not in the United States. You did have some Hammer stuff that was pretty good, but in the United States, there hadn't been a good vampire movie in a while. Blackula Scream were the highest budget, best quality vampire movies that had been made in a long time at the time that they came out. And Anne Rice loved them. And they had a lot of good stuff, especially in the second one, because the movie was more about, well, what is life like for you when you're a vampire? Can you go out? Can you go to a club? No, you can't. That's now. That
answers that question.
There's a couple different edits of fucking Scream, Blackula Scream, and one edit that I saw was more complete than the one that I rented on on YouTube. And when I bought the Blu-ray, it didn't have the fucking scene in it where it was basically kind of like a fucking scene about slavery. Anne Rice talked about it in her books. The vampires enslaved people. Mama Waldy bites a fucking voodoo priest and turns him into a vampire. But not because he likes him. He did that because he wanted that dude's house. And then after he turned, he's like, oh man, this is badass. And he tries to look at himself in the mirror and he can't see anything. And he's like, how the fuck am I gonna check how I look if I can't even see myself in the mirror, you know? Fucking, I'm trying to go out. And he says, you're not going anywhere. He says, no, we talking about,
it's like, man, you're my bitch.
We need to go out to the club. And he's like, oh, so you're going to go out and you're going to run around with people out in public and you're going to bring them back here. And he's like, yeah. And he goes, and then they find out what we are and then they kill us in our sleep. And he's like, and he goes, you will do nothing. You will stay right here. And he goes, so I'm just going to listen to you like I'm your slave? And he goes, you are my slave. I made you. And fucking, they cut that out of the fucking version that I have. And he goes, I'm a slave. And fucking, he goes, yes. Fucking Mama Waldy was black, but he's making people his slaves. Now,
well, he
later
kind of
on,
like got fucked over by.
Yeah. Now later on, he gets rid because there's also you could be a slave, but there was a slave revolt, and there was later on that particular guy he was talking about made all the other slave vampires rise up against Mama Waldy. They killed him. I don't remember exactly how they did it, but Mama Waldy was a fucking cool vampire, and I wish they'd bring that character back, but really, that was a long time ago. The only thing that could Eddie Murphy could bring back fucking the vampire from Vampire in Brooklyn and maybe redo that, and it would kind of be like Blackula.
Well, the thing that made Blackula work and Scream Blackula Scream was that, yeah, it like had some. It was made in the 70s and it was like kind of cheesy and stuff like that. But
good fashion.
I mean, the role of Blackula, he took that very seriously.
Yeah. And
he had this gravitas.
Yeah.
And that really fucking worked. Yeah. It really worked.
Well, he was a great actor.
Oh yeah.
He was in Star Trek, remember? He was the dude that fucking invented the M5 computer.
That's right.
Yeah, the M5.
Yes, okay.
Yeah. But
I think that's what I loved about that was that it took itself very seriously and it worked.
Well, when you hear the title Blackula, you think it might be some kind of joke. No,
that's I'm gonna say too that they did do blaxploitation versions of because they did like Blackenstein.
The Blackenstein sucked.
Terrible. Which is terrible.
Terrible.
But Blackula.
Yeah.
Despite the title, was actually quite awesome. Yeah. And actually, like, Scream Blackula Scream is awesome.
Now, the reason for y'all that haven't seen the movie, the reason why it was called Blackula is because he, in the first movie, in the opening scenes, he's an African lord who's at dinner with some dude from Europe who's this rich motherfucker. And they're having a talk, and fucking Mama Waldy is talking about how the development of the African continent and that slavery was a scourge that needed to be wiped out in Africa. They were sound to, and the white dude is like, oh no, that's not going anywhere type of deal. And he tries to buy Mama Waldy's wife. Well, it turns out that
seems like a party foul.
Yeah. Turns out that this white dude is Dracula, and fucking he attacks him, and goes through this big rigmarole. He fucking bites Mama Waldy and turns him into a vampire, seals him into a fucking coffin, and locks him and his wife into a crypt. And he says, "Why you're in here? When you will rise again, and you will rise again as a vampire, and spend eternity listening to the fucking screams of your dying wife, sealed in this fucking in this fucking a crypt." And he goes, "And I will give you my name, but I will call you Blackula." And fucking Dracula named him Blackula.
So that was like the white man.
Yeah,
His name was Mama Waldy.
His real name was Mama Waldy. Yeah. And that's where the title came from. It was a fucking wild story, man. And the movies were good because they were black product. Black people made them, and I think the financing might have been at least partially black people financed them, and the fucking fashion was really good. They were fucking showing off some real high fashion. The hair and the fucking costumes.
I love some of the outfits.
And it was kind of like 70s bell bottoms and fucking low hip huggers, but there was something kind of gothic about it. You know, and how I found those movies is hanging out in New Orleans, at a goth club called the Crystal. I was talking to this, in those days, an old black dude. He was fucking regular there. His name was Larry. And Larry was a retired New Orleans pimp. And he was telling me he loved the goth scene. He goes, but even though he wasn't gothic, and he was just like, man, it reminds me of fucking something from Blackula. And he was telling me about Black, and he recommended them to me. I was like, oh, come on. And he's like, oh no, they're good movies. And when I saw them, they were fucking great. And what happened to Larry later on is that Larry got arrested for bank robbery.
As one does.
Yeah, well, that was his retirement plan. That was his retirement plan.
I respect that.
He couldn't control these hoes anymore. The younger bucks fucking took all his shit. He had nothing in life, and he went for broke, and they arrested him. He fucking robbed the bank with a banknote, and gave him time. That's the last time I saw him. But
don't think
old Larry,
robbing the bank.
Old Larry, yeah. And Larry was an old school New Orleans pimp from the late '60s, early '70s. He was like my dad's age. That's how I found those movies. Living in New Orleans.
That's hilarious.
And they were about New Orleans.
Yeah, they are.
So, you know. And that Larry's view of the fucking 90s goth scene was that it reminded him of Blackula.
I see that. I can see that.
And he thought it was very cool.
Yeah. John Gora says Ganja and Hess with the Night of the Living Dead guy is a pretty interesting black vampire movie. I've been wanting to watch that. I think they added it to Shudder a while back, and I haven't watched it yet. But yeah, that's one that like comes up a lot when you're talking about like that kind of. We watched the other one. What was that one called? Shit, I can't remember now. But yeah, Ganja and Hess is another one that I've been wanting to watch, but we haven't watched it yet. Anyone seen the SS Experiment from 1976? I haven't seen that one, although there was like a whole fucking range of films that were like She-Wolf of the SS. There was Nazi exploitation.
Yeah.
There was nunsploitation, blaxploitation, whitesploitation. There was everything exploitation.
Yeah.
And there was Nazi exploitation. There was a lot of Nazi movies in the 70s. And a lot of them had to do with like Ilsa, She-Wolf of the SS. She had kind of like this weird kind of shit where it's like, oh, we have like this Nazi guard at this thing, and she's like super into like fucking creepy shit, and she's doing all this like weird shit to all the prisoners.
Yeah.
And that was like a whole subgenre. I've seen a few of those, but I haven't seen that one. But yeah. In case you guys didn't know. Ooh, look at all the
Yeah, no, that's it.
Then one got rid of it, but it's okay. They went away. Bot naked alert. I'm behind. Where was I?
I don't know.
Iron Sky 2. We haven't seen... I keep like putting... I feel like you should probably see Iron Sky, because I feel like you would probably really
everybody
like
was talking about that, because I like Nazis at the center of the earth.
Yeah, so I feel like you'd probably like Iron Sky, and they made a sequel as well.
Yeah.
So you'd probably be into that.
Yeah, Sly's talking about that guy was a stage actor from the 50s. Yeah, his name was William Marshall, I believe what his name was.
Yeah, I think that was him.
He would do kind of like Shakespearean style acting. Fucking Sly's going, Tom, you're killing me. I don't know what I was saying back then, man. I'm going back into the comments.
Kind of Awesome says never seen Nazis at the center.
Nazis at the center.
Oh, it's fun. I like that.
It's got Jake Busey in it. Gary Busey's fucking
with his
son.
Massive
Jake
teeth.
Busey. Yeah, and Nazis at the Center of the Earth was a fucking what's the name of that company?
Was it the one that does all the like knockoffs?
Does all the
stuff?
I think it is.
Asylum.
Which I think it's Asylum. Which is rock bottom. But
their whole thing.
Funny. They're funny.
I mean, they make money. They're like, hey, a big movie comes out, we're gonna make like a ripoff of that.
The thing is,
call it almost the same thing.
The thing is about Nazis at the Center of the Earth is that movie's legitimate. All right, it's an individual. It's a unique creation that conforms perfectly to early German science fiction that the Nazis liked, which is one of the main books that Germans liked in the early 1900s was something called Vril, the Coming Power, and it was about an underground species of superhumans that lived inside of a hollow earth that had harnessed a certain energy called Vril. Mm-hmm. Vril energy could run all these machines, mm-hmm. and it was kind of like the Force, but it was also kind of like a laser beams too. And Nazis at the Center of the Earth is a fucking good sci-fi horror movie that every aspect of the movie conforms to German science fiction that the National Socialists would have known about, and stuff that was added on top of it in the ensuing years. In other words, like Hitler's head being preserved.
Mecha Hitler. Mecha Hitler.
Yeah, fucking all kinds of just Nazis making zombies. Nazis in the center of the earth, in a hollow earth, coming out in UFOs powered by Vril to destroy the modern world so they could take over. And they're also the undead at the same time.
I mean, sure, why not?
Yeah, it's just wild as fuck. Wild as fuck.
Why not?
Just wild as fuck. And the first time I saw it, because I know their lore and the legends and all the paranormal fucking shit that you find, about the Nazi bell and all this weird stuff. And I just fucking loved it and busted up through the whole fucking movie, because every crazy thing they show you is like, oh yeah, of course. I know exactly what they're talking about.
Yeah.
It's some kind of a fucking legend.
Yeah, they didn't just pull that out their ass.
Yeah, no, it was well written.
Yeah.
It was as well.
Somebody knew a lot about
Nazi lore.
That.
Yeah.
That made that movie.
It was as good as Velocipaster, even though it was very different. Velocipaster was,
I kind of feel like
a kung fu
Velocipaster.
movie. Yeah.
And we've said this before. I kind of feel like Velocipaster is like the platonic ideal.
Yeah. Of a low
so
budget.
bad it's good movie.
Yeah. Velocipaster knew that it was terrible and ran with it. And yet knew how to, and it turns around and becoming awesome.
And yet, the thing about it is that even though it knows it's bad and it's trying to be a bad movie, it still comes across as very earnest.
It's a good movie.
Which in fact, makes it funnier.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't come across as flip or meta or anything like that.
It's thought out very well.
Yeah, very well. They're really committed to the premise that they had.
Right.
The fact that it seemed genuine made it way funnier.
Right.
Because you have a lot of movies that are trying to be bad on purpose, and those are not as funny.
No.
Because you get this sense of I'm above this material. I'm just I'm trying to be funny on purpose.
Like Ghost Shark and fucking Shark Exorcist.
Yeah, it's to me that's not funny. Velocipaster was funny because they knew that it was a bad movie, but they were somehow able to convey that it was still genuine. So it still came across as they were trying to make a good movie, and it went terribly awry.
Kinda. I think that's one way.
But you still knew that they were making a bad movie. But it didn't interfere with your enjoyment. It comes
back around.
Sure.
Though. It comes back around as it's a good movie. Because a movie's supposed to entertain you. And that bitch was entertaining as a motherfucker. And what makes it entertaining was the writing and the way shit was shot.
Everything about that shit was funny.
Velocipaster is a genius movie.
Everything about that.
Genius.
Every single thing that made me laugh.
It was made with no money, but what you can never replace is writing and edit and just the way things were shot in the movie. You just can't stop watching it, and you understand everything that happens, and it's pulling you in. It's not throwing you out; it's pulling you in deeper. It's kind of like a movie, a kung fu movie about dinosaurs and ninjas. As if it's happening on a fucking video screen in the night, and or it's also a 1982 video game. It's just everything that was ridiculous about the 80s is all happening, but it makes sense. And and the movie also had its own lore. You know, it kept itself confined to a narrative. It didn't break its own narrative. It didn't. Yeah. It was a cohesive movie that could only be done through an overarching concept and good writing. So, no. The masterpiece of all cheap movies,
like so bad it's good movies,
is Velocipaster.
I kind of feel like, that's like the platonic.
I laughed through the whole fucking thing.
That was like, it was super.
And you're supposed to. It did its job well.
But like I said,
we would have loved that movie in high school. We would have fucking loved it.
We've talked about this a lot because, like I said, I mean, you guys know I'm a huge MST fan. So I've seen like a lot of bad movies that came out in the 40s, 50s, 60s. The thing that makes those movies funny is that they thought that they were making a good movie. Yeah. And it went drastically awry at some point. Like Ed Wood. I feel like he probably thought that he was making good movies. Yeah. But he just didn't really have any concept of like what made a good movie, and that's what made it hilarious, was that juxtaposition between what he thought was a good movie and what everyone else in the world thought was a good movie. So that's what makes it funny. But the thing about it was that when you had this whole like self-aware thing that kind of came out in the 90s, like with Sharknado and all that kind of stuff, you kind of got people that were making movies. It's like, oh, well, we know there's a big audience for like so bad it's good movies, so we're going to do that on purpose. And if you're going to do it on purpose, it doesn't really work out the same. No. 99% of the time, it doesn't work out at all. Like, a lot of the times you're trying to make a bad movie and you're like, look how funny we're being. And it's just like, it doesn't work for me because it's like, you're trying too hard. Yeah. So I feel like that's where Velocipaster, and that's what I'm saying, that's why it's like a really hard balance to strike, because you have to like strike a balance between, we want this to seem like it's genuine, like we're not trying to be too cynical, and we're also not trying to be like, I don't know, we're trying to like not to be overt about anything. And I feel like they got that balance exactly right in that movie.
Now, there's another movie that also they got everything fucking right in, and I fucking love it. And I want to get it on Blu-ray. It's a post-apocalyptic, low-budget superhero movie called Turbo Kid.
That's great. Yeah, Turbo Kid is great.
Turbo Kid was about perfect. It had Michael Ironside in it playing the fucking bad guys. And it had a lot of 80s and 90s sci-fi tropes in it that you'll recognize when you see it. I think it might have been a French movie, huh? It's in English, but I think the French might have had something to do with it.
Oh, I don't know if it was French or French-Canadian?
French-Canadian, maybe.
I can't remember.
Real good writing.
We reviewed it a while back.
Great tone, good editing. It's kind of like going back in time when movies were fucking fun to watch. And it's just called Turbo Kid. And it's a post-apocalyptic superhero movie. Like, imagine if you're in the world's kind of like Fallout, the video game Fallout, and Mad Max together, and you have the ability to become a superhero. About a young guy who becomes a superhero, which is fucking, when you think about it, it's fucking crazy, but it makes sense when you see the movie. And there's androids in it, and robots, and there's androids and cyborgs in it, and Mad Max style fucking gangs, and there isn't any cars, so they just use BMX bicycles, which that makes a lot of sense because you don't need fuel.
Because I mean, if it was apocalypse, I would get a bicycle. That's probably, I'd get a bicycle and a ninja sword.
Yeah, BMX bikes.
Those are the first two things that I would get.
Yeah, but that's a good movie. Turbo Kid.
Kanavatsan says, this is a fun trivia. Name the top 5 movie directors of all time, in your opinion.
Oh, shit. Kubrick.
Well, for me, Kubrick, David Lynch.
Yeah.
John Carpenter.
Yeah.
Coppola.
Yeah. And
who's
then
the fifth one? Who's the fifth one?
Well, not Lucas, but Lucas's buddy. Lucas was a good idea man, but I don't really think he was a really good director. I liked fucking the dude who did fucking Raiders of the Lost Ark and all that.
Spielberg. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, it was the top 5.
I mean,
although all those guys did very different kind of movies, and Carpenter was hit or miss. Some of the Carpenter movies, I don't believe he directed. I think somebody else directed them.
That's what I'm saying. Like Carpenter, I'm mostly saying that for like, like I'm mostly saying that for his early shit. But to be honest, if he had just done Halloween and The Thing,
and Escape from New York,
that would be sufficient.
And Halloween 3.
Oh, Dario Argento.
Yeah.
That's my 5th one. Dario Argento.
He did a Halloween 3, didn't he? Yeah. Yeah. I think Carpenter directed
He might have produced it.
Did he?
I don't think he directed it.
All right.
But please correct me if I'm wrong.
People
I
didn't
don't think he directed.
People didn't like 3 when it came out, but that's my favorite Halloween movie is 3.
Well, like I said,
Season of the Witch.
It's different now because at the time when everyone was pissed off because like, oh, it doesn't have Michael Myers in it.
Yeah.
But now no one's expecting that,
Right.
so I kind of feel like it's gotten like a lot of reassessment. So to me, it'd be like Kubrick, Carpenter. What did I say? Coppola.
Yeah.
Dario Argento. I'm super into Dario Argento, even though his later shit was crap. But like, okay.
And Spielberg.
Yeah. I mean,
how long have we been on?
3 hours.
Okay, it's time for us to go because I gotta fucking do the cakes and get something to eat and spend 3
Oh,
hours.
you're gonna make like some pocket cake?
Yeah, and I can make us something to eat too.
What are you gonna make?
I don't know. We'll see what's down there. Some kind of sandwich.
Lemon slice says Hitchcock. Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
That too. I mean, there's so many. It's like I'd have to do top 10. Mario Bava. Now that you're like bringing it up, I'm like thinking of like lots of stuff. But yeah, Billy Wilder. Some people said Sam Peckinpah. Yeah, Tarantino. Yeah, okay. Cecil B. DeMille. I mean, there's too many. There's too many to like narrow it down. I'm just saying. All right, so we went on for like 3 hours. We're starving.
Yeah.
We're gonna go get something to eat. So hopefully you guys have a good beginning of your weekend. We will be back on Sunday evening talking about whatever movie we end up watching tonight or tomorrow night. I don't really know what that'll be about. Or we might do another Sidetrack show. We'll see how it goes. You alright?
Yeah.
Okay. Why are you laughing?
Laughing at you drunk trying to close the show out.
Why are you judging?
Okay, I gotta go.
You're drunk too.
I gotta go.
I'm judging me for being drunk.
Get some food ready.
Yeah, go get some food. Seriously. All right, so you guys have a good weekend. We will see you guys on Sunday afternoon. Hopefully you guys will drop by and join us. Thank you for dropping by this evening. We will see you guys on Sunday. Bye.